he made me up a batch of some of those. And I just
Okay, now you got to hide them. We're live now.
Okay. Well, they can see them. We'll wait for Gabe though.
Yeah, definitely.
We were just talking. I got a bunch of stuff that came in the mail that was sitting by the door. So
I tell you what, he does really good work for plastics. And I was actually talking to him.
I was impressed. I haven't used them yet, but they look awesome.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, there's so many guys out there trying to make soft plastics, trying to make their own paint jobs. And when it comes down to it, I mean, you see the details in them and this and that. And you're going to know if they're going to work or not. But crankbaits are a little odd. You don't know sometimes because none of them ever swim the same. So.
No, and sometimes you can just change the split ring or change a hook on the back or something and make it straighten itself out. Or sometimes accidentally banging off the dock, and the next thing you know, it's the best crankbait in your box. Who knows? Honestly, that's why I'm not a big crankbait fisherman, because it's always in my head if I'm not getting bit. Should I change it? Is this thing just not running just right? Or, that's why I like Gabe's. I'm going to switch. I'm switching to the snap swivel. I like Gabe's idea.
Yeah, it's a lot quicker. I mean, you don't have to worry about as much.
Do you know, does he go straight to does he still leave the swivel or the split ring on the jerkbait still? Or does he take that off and just go straight to the
you know what? I think we had that conversation. I don't remember what he said now.
We'll ask him when he comes, because I was curious.
I don't remember, I've always tied straight to it. I just never did like the swivel because I always thought it gave it a little different action sometimes. But that was just more in my head than anything, But,
well, there's a whole group of old school dudes and some other, that have adopted it that are, younger generation that still do the loop knot. I know Mark Tucker, I think, was one of them. My knot skills suck and my eyes are getting bad. And Russ, you set it with your wife blowing a fan on you and making it cold in your bathroom with the shower on you. If you don't learn how to tie one in the rain anyway, you know what I'm saying? When miserable conditions, I like stuff simple. And like I said, I could have tied it like Gabe was saying, a real good. So I'm going to start. I mean, it's something pretty 50 years old. They've been fishing for a long time. It's kind of weird that I'm going to start using a swivel, but Gabe's a good fisherman, and he's an honest dude. So I'm going to go with what I think. Part of that's why I don't fish crankbaits more, because it's always in my head I should probably be switching these, and I'm like, man, I don't tie another knot. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And you were just talking about that.
The point is my knot, especially when you're tying a knot, like I said, when it's pouring down rain and
Denny windy. He does leave the split ring on it.
Okay.
So, and Denny doesn't miss a show. So he's the one that picks up on all our commentary and points out the bloopers for us.
Nice. There's a guy, what do they call him? Superfan Giovanni, that listens to Adam Carolla and archives everything. And anybody from the Adam Carolla show, I think, can reach out to him, and he can find him an old clip and get it to him like no time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Just super fan. Yeah.
See, we got a couple of guys rolling in here. Shadow Bass and DJ David's in here. They were talking about how cold it was earlier. I told them, I said, we got up to 30 today, but I think Saturday and Sunday it's supposed to be -4 both nights.
Wow.
I'm not looking forward to that. Did you guys get any sleep up there today?
Yeah, we got a little bit. Just the dusting, really, but I'm not looking forward to it either, man. We got tournaments coming up, and I hate fishing when I don't mind. It's that sweet spot. I'll take cold and sunny.
Yeah.
And maybe a little snow. But man, when you get like 33 or 34 and it's kind of spitting rain, and it is hard to keep warm. And if it's blowing any and your guides keep freezing, it's just and you're trying to fish a jerk bait, and it's just like, oh my God.
Keep dipping your rod down in the water.
Yeah. I remember me and Greg one time, we got to where we were fishing that winter series. So we left his place at the 26 and ran all the way up to the 8 in the morning to get there for the takeoff. It was the winter series goes out of Elhana. And both of us, I don't know why we took our rods out. I guess because we had time. We should have left them in the box. By the time we got up there with the condensation and stuff, every one of them was just frozen, just like it was like a block of. Oh. You had if you wanted to use it, you had to dunk it.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. We went over to fish a tournament at Lake of Egypt, and we knew there was a big crappie tournament taking off out of the same boat ramp. So we're like, me and my buddy were like, we're gonna get there 2 hours early. So we got there. It was like 3:30 in the morning. And I mean, I kid you not, when we got there was a line of about 10 guys behind us already. And we're like, holy cow, man, I'm glad we did come early. So we sat in the boat for a while. Well, about 4 o'clock hit, 4:30, it started sleeting a little bit. We're like, oh, that's nice. Then all of a sudden it went back to a little bit of rain. We're like, oh man, you know, then the big snowflakes started coming down. It covered the whole boat. I mean, we couldn't see anything. It was bad. We went back to sleep. So,
you know what? I'll take the snow because it bounces off more than I like the rain when it's cold. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, it's just hard. I don't know if I've talked about it on here. I was thinking about it. Oh, because one of the things I've got another. I always keep I try a bunch of different. I've had Sims. These are Cabela's guide wear. You know, like the windproof fleece line.
You ever use any of the neoprene ones?
Yeah, these are kind of that way. Yeah, these are like that wind block material, so it's kind of somewhere between it. I have the neoprene ones though. They get so stanky, man.
Yeah,
that neoprene just holds the stank.
My problem is I don't think
they like these because they got a little zipper on them to get into them. You know what I'm saying?
Better than Velcro. Yeah,
the side there. Yeah, just so you can make the handhold a little bigger and then.
Yeah, I had Velcro off of mine. It had the Velcro all the way around the wrist, and every time you go to put it on, the Velcro was, you know, sticking to everything else and sticking to your lures, and
it'll get your line too.
Yeah.
I like to. I don't know if I've told you guys this, but if I have, I'm gonna tell it again. To stay warm, man, I put on wristbands underneath, and I put those. You know, I'll have like an Under Armour shirt on, and a wristband, and I put those hand warmers or toe warmers on the back of that wristband. One on the top, and then one on your wrist right here, and then one on the back side of your hand up here. That blood coming in and out, and I can get by with fingerless gloves. Now, when I'm running the boat, I got big snowmobile gloves that are easy to put on with other gloves on.
Yeah,
and I just put those on to run with. And my hands.
I got a lot of guys that make fun of me for having a motorcycle helmet, but I tell you what, you get out on them cold mornings and make a run, or even in the summer, if you got a pour down.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't see nothing with rain pelting you in the eyeballs.
Do you rain X your windshield?
No, I used to, but after I got the helmet, I don't mess with it. Oh, you mean
on your helmet?
Yes,
on your helmet.
Yeah.
Because if you do both, then it's just shedding off. They're hitting you in the face double time.
I do it on my windshield on the boat, and then, like you just said, it constantly run off as quick as it hit it. And it'd be hitting you in the face twice as bad.
Yeah, you're just like getting sprayed with a hose off of there.
Yeah.
You guys doing a live stream?
Yeah, we are.
Mind if I
come on in?
Hell, man.
Mind if I jump in?
No, go ahead. Okay. You're good.
I just happen to be driving through the neighborhood.
30
miles out of the way. Just dude, it's getting slick out there.
Well, that's why I asked you if you were coming up.
I know. It's like 24 out there, and it's kind of misty. And I got a little bit squirrely on the interstate. I had to back it down to about 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got a couple different times. It's kind of weird, you know.
That's why I texted you and asked. I was like, man,
well, my laptop last 2 nights ago, my wife was doing a Facebook Messenger stream with some of her girlfriends.
Yeah.
And she was right in the middle of it. All of a sudden, she just come upstairs and she said, my laptop just died. And so I'm like, I'll check it out later. It's probably just something simple, you know. And I got on there and it said the hard drive was recognized. Basically, the hard drive crashed. So I took it into, luckily on my route, there's a Velocity Electronics. It's the first stop on my route. So I took it to work this morning and dropped it off there. And the guy called me about an hour later, and he said, well, your hard drive is failing on your computer.
I thought you were going to say, he called me and said, I got all your porn. The good news is I got all your porn off here.
The bad news is your computer.
Yeah.
No, so he said, do you need anything on there? Do we need to recover it all? And I didn't know. I said, I'm not sure. And basically he said it's going to be like $120 to do like a full recovery. And then
at least they can.
Yeah, at least they can. Then like another $120 for a solid state hard drive. That's the problem. She had a mechanic.
Is this your editing computer?
No, this is my wife's laptop. It's the one that I would do a stream on from the house or whatever.
I got you.
So long story short, she had backed up all of her stuff that she needed on a jump drive, luckily. So we didn't have to do the $120 recovery. So now I'm just going to put like a solid state hard drive in there.
Attaboy. Yeah.
Maybe like $270. but it's a lot cheaper than going out and buying a new laptop because
if it's
a pretty good
not
laptop.
that old, if it's not that old, then yeah.
No, it's not that old. And he said those mechanical hard drives are real susceptible to any kind of movement. If you just barely drop on them, they have
solid state's the way to go on a laptop. It's the way to go on a PC too.
Yeah.
All of our big scan computers that we take all that when we scan buildings or scan highways, and it makes all those pixels. They're all solid state.
Yeah, you'll notice
processing it fast.
Right. Yeah. You'll notice a huge difference when you get this thing back. It'll be super quick. It'll be just clicking through stuff. It'll be really, really fast. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, what I was getting at is I didn't really have an option but to come up here, but it's
could have on your phone.
Yeah, I could have.
The phone blows. It's always so hard to get it to hold still.
Well, for reading comments, it's probably really tricky.
It's pretty tiny.
Because I've got an iPhone 5. It's like pretty small. I don't have a
10.
Yeah, yours is a lot bigger. Yeah, definitely.
Yours is 5 bigger, Greg.
Yours is bigger. I wasn't going to say it.
I guarantee you, DJ just went to his notepad.
Yeah,
guarantee it.
So what's been going on here? What did I miss? You guys, I see Morrison's on here.
Yeah, we were actually talking about him before we went live. Mike's got some to show you. So
yeah, I've been getting tackle. Why I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, you got a big boat, man. You got to fill it up.
I guess, man.
You talking about the hot hands and stuff? You're talking about winter and keep them.
Yeah, you're talking about
T. Harris right there
and everything.
Yeah. That's the action. I got a new pair of those guide gloves, but I always say the key thing with gloves is just make sure you have 2 or 3 pair.
Yeah.
You can rotate them through the day if one gets really wet or something. But most of those high-end ones, they'll dry pretty quick even in the winter. You could take one off on a boat ride if you and hold on to it. You probably get it a little pretty dry by the time you got where you're going. But
yeah, I've been wearing fleece. Like just some of the gloves that I buy for work are fleece gloves or a thinner fleece. And that stuff, even in the rain, it still keeps your hands a little bit warm, you
absolutely.
And they dry off pretty fast.
One other thing,
these Gabe are that like they're the fleece lined, and then they're like that wind block material. It's almost like a neoprene.
I tell you what, even for somebody who doesn't want to spend a bunch of money, you can get a pair of latex gloves and just cheap jersey gloves over the top of that. And eat in.
Well, the thing is, you can have a whole chub pack of jersey gloves in your boat and just keep rotating them. Hooks are a mother to get out of jerseys, though.
Yes, they are.
But I always, like I said, I have my snowmobile gloves that I used to go snowmobiling every winter up in Wisconsin, and those things. And like I said, they're oversized, so you can put them on with your fishing gloves when you run. And the key is don't let your hands get cold, because once they get cold, you're toast. It's a lot. It's pretty hard to get them back.
Yeah, I bought some of those neoprene duck hunting gloves. They come all the way up to your elbow. Just
for running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Plus, you look cool. You look menacing.
Yeah.
What's up, Missouri Raider? I see Phil in there too. Rain, sleet, snow, nothing stops the mailman. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
should have drove the mail truck up here.
Yeah.
They probably frown on that.
I think so. Yeah. We have like a geo barrier on our scanners. And
my cat keeps showing off his butt.
He looks good, man. He's been taking care of himself.
He's been back there flexing. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. He's trying to go viral. He's heard about this.
He's just a couple minutes away from getting it done.
Well, that's where his food is, so he's kind of pacing back and forth thinking about he might eat.
Yeah. My dog's like a little vacuum cleaner. Anytime you're in the kitchen, she's like around there sniffing around trying to find some scraps.
Really? It's funny you say that. That Doberman, his head is higher than the TV tray. Marshall left all of his sausage off his pizza. He picked the sausage off. We had a sausage and pepperoni pizza, and I was in here working, and Simon was in that room, and I went in there, and 35 minutes have probably went by since Marshall left, and he never touched it. He just knows not to kind of thing. Dobermans are amazing, man. They're super smart, and they're just so easy to train. It's funny when I'm walking him around the neighborhood, all the other dogs are on the end of the leash going nuts and spinning in circles and stuff. And he just walks right by, and they're like, I don't know how you get your dog to behave. And I always think, well, sometimes some dogs just aren't that smart. I mean, really.
Right.
Or they got to the small dogs have a little bit of a complex. They feel like a squirrel. The really small dogs. I don't know. The dogs were.
My dog.
I love small dogs, but I'm just saying they tend to bark more than the big dogs.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, my dog is really good about not eating any kind of food that she would be able to. Like snagging something off your plate. Like she'll jump up. It's a schnoodle, so it's part schnauzer, part poodle.
Oh man, we had a schnauzer all of our life. They're awesome dogs.
Pounder. Yeah, she's a good dog, but she'll sit on your lap, and even if you got like a piece of pizza or sandwich on a plate right there, she'll sniff. She'll look at it and get a little sniff, and you just look at her.
My dog will definitely give you the look. Like I wouldn't mind a piece of that if you'd hand it to me, but he's not going to try to take it from you. That's part of having a big dog too. Like having kids. Like when we first got him from the rescue, I got down there and right in his face, taking food away from him. I wanted to make sure there was no chance that he was going to try to bite me or one of the kids. He was full-grown 98-pound Doberman when we got him, and a little bit untrained. So you're gonna bring that in your house. You need to run it through the litmus test of, he's my fifth one, so I'm pretty confident with
like my wife.
I can read them.
Ran me through the test.
DJ said that's the biggest cat he's ever seen.
Yeah, that is a big cat.
That's a big cat.
Somebody said he was in your bourbon too.
No.
Oh, Phil Meyer.
Dave Holm couldn't make it. He's stuck at the VA working at the hospital and that.
Yeah, he sent me a text on the way up, said he wasn't going to be able to make the show.
And then the high school kids that I help out, he's not feeling well. His dad said he hated it, but he's going to sleep. I was like, well, get up, watch the replay, and hammer the like button tomorrow. He'll be fine.
Yeah, George, that geofence is it's funny. We have I'm a letter carrier, so we have our route, right? And if you deviate like say 500 feet outside of the outside perimeter of your route, it'll instantly send a message to the postmaster, and he knows that you got off your route. And our postmaster's pretty cool, but if you had a real butthead of a postmaster, he would definitely be asking you when you got back why you deviated outside your route. So, but that's all in that little scanner.
Yeah, most companies anymore have. If you're any size, you have all that GPS scanners in your vehicles like that. You get notifications if it's going over the posted speed limit, if it's driving erratic, all that kind of stuff comes back.
Yeah,
the reason they do it lowers their insurance costs so much at big companies to put those in the vehicles.
Yeah, we have on our loaders at work, and it's actually called JD Link through John Deere, but it actually makes our warranties stay, I guess, good or whatever, because it notifies if they running low on fuel, if they're running hot, or if they're running it wide open or leaving it idle for a while.
Yeah, isn't that technology crazy? And it's been around quite a while. My dad had an old Cadillac that did that. Like, it basically called and told you that there's something wrong with your car through the North Star, and we're going to make you an appointment at this. He was on vacation in Alabama, and we're going to make you pull it in. We got the parts in stock, all that. But they did all that through the. And that was back in, I don't know, the early 2005, 2006. So
and we were just talking about that a while ago when he had dial-up.
Yeah, that stuff. Now we're talking about it. All of our phones is going to be showing us ads for that kind of stuff. That's what's crazy now. So,
that's right.
Let's talk about fishing. You've been doing some fishing, Gabe, right? I have not. I've been just kind of gearing up and getting ready because when it gets going here, man, our schedule is going to be pretty hectic for me fishing the team and the BFL and the Toyota Series. And it's not like you say that because of the Toyota Series. It's only 3 tournaments, but end up fishing them all. I'm going to take a week for each one of them. So that's 3 weeks of being gone right there.
Yeah. So, I went fishing.
Which is weird since we've been locked in our house for the most part, not really going anywhere far since March. That's not true. I went to Colorado in June, but I took the family vacation. I forgot. That's how weird 2020 was. One of my favorite all-time family vacations. I forgot I even took. That was just last year, in June. So,
yeah, hopefully the weather start cooperating a little bit better here. We can actually do some fishing. Like I said, this next week, I don't think either one of them can be able to do anything.
No, man.
I'm not gonna want
corned beef and Swiss on rye sandwiches. Dang, DJ.
Dang,
I had slices of cold pizza on the road up here while I was sliding all over the interstate.
I made some good chicken tonight, actually.
Steve says his system grades the driver electronically.
Ooh.
Huh.
Good thing you don't own that one.
No.
Jeez.
I'd definitely be a
I'd figure out
D minus. I've been accused of being a D minus carrier by like a postmaster way back in the day. She said, "You guys are all D minus carriers." I'm like, thanks.
She went to a great leadership and motivational school, how to manage people, right?
Right.
Scream at you, call you all stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, at least she didn't say we were F, so she gave us just a little bit. Of,
Like you guys are one step above pond scum.
Yeah, the postmaster's got me patterned.
Yeah. Whitewell said I got 6 to 8 inches ice everywhere. And then David down there, he said he's got 10.
Jeez.
10 inches ice.
On the lakes? I'm
like, whoa.
I'm assuming on the lakes, yeah.
Be no trees left. Wow. We're getting
Where are they at?
I think by Wednesday. Whitewell's in Indiana. Yeah. We'll have ice by Wednesday.
And the David's up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, northern Indiana, though, man. It's cold as shit up there, don't it? I mean, it's kind of like.
I don't like Brother. He lived up around Kokomo, just about 2 hours north of Indianapolis. And I tell you what, we go up there and visit him, and that was miserable.
Yeah, I was up there for that Batch University a few years ago, and it snowed, and the ride home was miserable. It was windy. Yeah, it's flat as a pancake.
And the worst part is that has got to be the worst place I've ever been to for mosquitoes.
I was there in the winter, but
swarms of them out there.
We're at
in Indiana. Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, the worst I've ever seen it. Which makes sense. You always hear about people like, "Oh, I hope we have a bad winter so it kills mosquitoes." You talk to them people up in Canada and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, man.
Yeah,
dude. Only time I've been in Canada, I was up there. You can fish till like 10 o'clock at night up there. If you go in the summer, it's crazy. But coming back on the dock, you can see the swarms of mosquitoes waiting on you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're big ones too.
What time of year were you up there, Gabe?
I'll probably say July, maybe.
Yeah.
Just guessing. But it was insane, dude. I remember my dad had so many mosquitoes on his arm. He like swatted them. There was a handprint on his arm.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
They will eat you up.
Great bird. Yep.
I wasn't too far from Whitewell then. So he's only 45 minutes west of there. So
yeah, you were talking about fishing. And I was getting ready to say that I got to go fishing with Jay last week. And it was the day when it rained all day, and it was like high 30s. It was a tough one. We caught some fish, but you're talking about having all
trying to stay warm, man. That's brutal. That's what I was saying. Give me snow and 30 degrees versus rain and 38.
Well, and most of the time you're fishing that time of year, it's something slow, and you're looking for a slow presentation. But
the wind was blowing like 22 on top of that.
Oh yeah,
it was tough, man. It was tough. It's hard to keep your head in the game. And I'm still working on my boot game, trying to get that figured out. I've got 2 separate boots, and I've got 3 separate boots. So I've got it's hard to find. What I like is a hiking style boot that, like that 4-inch boot or something like that. But you can't find a good insulated one. I mean, the best you can find is like 200 grams of Thinsulate. And then I've got some killer 8-inch hiking boots. They are, I'm trying to think of the brand of that. They're a real popular brand. They're really high dollar. Paid like $180 for them, but they got 1,000 grams of Thinsulate in them. So they're really, really nice, but the heels hurt, after a while. And
they're not meant to be in standing up.
And you're leaning in on them, and they give you kind of shin splints after a while, especially if you're punching grass or something where you're kind of leaning over. And then I've got some other ones that are kind of in between, and they're 400 grams of Thinsulate. But they're so tight because I ordered a size 12. That's a tip, is always order a size bigger than what you need so you can put your socks in there, because what causes your feet to get cold is you cut the circulation down. It doesn't matter how many pairs of socks on. If you don't have a layer of air around in between the inside of your boot and the outside of your socks, your feet are going to get cold. I mean, that's just bottom line. So I've got 3 pairs of boots, and none of them are haven't quite dialed in which one is working, in which situation stuff. So it's a bummer.
I spent the money and bought some good socks for that, and they panned out pretty good.
Yeah, I was just thinking, man, socks are the key. Like, and sometimes a good like polypropylene type sock liner, and then one of those synthetic wools over the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Dan,
I don't even wear insulated when I fish. I do this 2 socks and a toe warmer. I don't even wear insulated ones at all. They're just too heavy for me. And like you said, Gabe starts making my legs hurt and stuff.
Yeah, I'll say I've got a bag. I got a pair of the insulated, like they're water boots. They come up almost to my knees. They're all rubber and they're insulated on the inside. But like you were saying a while ago, by the time you get a pair of thermal socks on top of them and everything else, it's almost too much in there. But I think they're big enough size.
Yeah. See, my bigger hunting boots are size 12, but they're wide.
Mm-hmm.
So I got plenty of room in there. They're perfect. But like I was saying earlier, they're tall and they hurt my heel. And what I've done is I put another insole in there, but now it's squeezed out that extra space because of the extra insole. So I'm like, right, I'm at the same point.
So we need to come up with something's what I'm hearing out of this conversation.
We need to make
us three on Shark Tank. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We need to make 1,000-gram insulin hiking boot.
Here's what you do. I was just thinking this. Somebody's going to steal our idea when we should probably talk about this later, but the most comfortable pair of boots I ever owned was a pair of kangaroo skin upland bird boots for quail hunting where you're doing a lot of walking. What if you made something like that with 850 grams of Thinsulate or something, and then left room for those, something that's really meant to be, because you're moving around. The reason you're getting shin splints because you're moving around a hell of a lot more in that 20-foot boat than you realize, or even in your small 10 boat. You're constantly moving your feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So something that's meant to be walked in, like those upland bird boots, they're so that kangaroo leather is so soft and subtle, and it's super light. So if you find a happy medium between what were you saying, some were 400 and some were 1,000, or just do something like an 850, somewhere in between there.
You can put a pouch on it too, like a kangaroo on the outside. You can hold some extra stuff.
Like Shadow said,
it's not a bad idea. A pouch inside of it meant to put your foot warmer in.
That's right.
He said just get socks, a shopping bag, and more socks.
I thought about designing fishing gloves like that have a place to slide that toe warmer in there.
Yeah.
And put it in right inside the glove, So it's not a half bad idea.
An 18 insulated boot.
Good God.
A big potato to each one.
Hey, Gabe, maybe you should try. Remember back in the olden days, like those knee-high or over-the-knee fur boots like the trappers used to wear.
Dude, I see those guys, like
you could be setting trends on the at the tournament, walking up to the weigh-in with those bad boys.
Yeah.
You're a big dude, so that would be like a 30-inch boot or something.
I'll break out the pink shirt too. Break out the pink T-shirt, and I'll really be noticed, man. I'll be looking good. Put some overalls on.
Did you read the rest of DJ's?
No, he says I'll wear a size 18 insulated boot. Put a hot baked potato in there. Later in the day, I can take them out and eat them with my sandwich. It's nice, man.
They're mashed at that point.
Exactly.
Mashed potatoes. That's right.
Yeah,
it'd be creamy by then.
I went back because I didn't get to catch the first part of Jay. Remember when you guys had Jay on, and I came in because I forgot about it or was working or something 20, 30 minutes late. So I went to watch it last night, and I was like, damn, man, I might shave my beard. Jay's shit's so glorious. I might just have to shave mine off before tonight. I feel like that's a tough act to follow, man.
He's
I'm glad I went
with a rookie there.
And I wanted to shave it off. I was like, I don't. Granted, I work on my beard about 10 minutes every 3 months, but yeah, that thing was beautiful. I'm gonna get with his people. See what he does.
It's pretty strong, man.
I'm pretty sure his wife was throwing out the goods there later on.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Get some natural
beard oil and
yeah.
He said he tried
at
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he had a whole hair and makeup team before the show.
He might have off day
or something. Who knows?
Yeah. So we were starting to talk about the schedule, man, coming up. I know,
dude, I got it right here. And when I read it out loud, it kind of freaks me out a little bit because it's coming up fast. So we had the BFL at Table Rock on the 20th of this month.
Okay.
And I got the Anglers in Action team on the 28th. And then I will stay down there that whole week because the Toyota Series is in that next March 4th and through the 6th. And then we have a BFL at Lake of the Ozarks on the 13th of March, so the very following weekend. And then I also have an Anglers in Action that same weekend on the 14th. So I have 2 tournaments that weekend. And then Anglers in Action team at Lake of the Ozarks in April, 3rd. So what's that? 2 weeks. After that one, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And then they have the Toyota Series. If I cash a check in the first one, I think that's how we're playing it. At Grand on April 8th through the 10th. And then BFL at Table Rock April 17th. So the very following weekend. Then Anglers in Action Team May 2nd. Then the Toyota Series at Darnell May 6th through 8th.
Man.
So I'm going to probably have to not fish that. If I make it to that Toyota Series, I'm going to have to find somebody to sub for me in that team on May 2nd. So, and then BFL at Truman June 10th, and then September is a championship for Anglers in Action, and then October would be. So you have that long. You go like hell, and then I don't go at all again until September.
Mm-hmm.
So after June 12th, I don't have another tournament scheduled until September.
We might have to throw hot baked potatoes down on the boat ramp for that first one.
Yeah,
weather that's coming in, it's changing.
It's going to be pretty rough. Be honest, if it's really, really really cold and nasty, there's a chance because all the hills down there that they postpone that or change the date on that.
Yeah, I saw some chirping on the website today or the Facebook page. People were kind of concerned about some of the tournaments that are this weekend and if they were gonna put them on, and they typically wait until 2 days at the earliest because you don't
get a lot of warning.
Extended forecast is not that accurate for the most part, so they like to wait until right then. Which unfortunately, people are already on the road and probably lodged up and pre-practice by then. So you got
to try to get home in it if they do cancel it. Yeah, that's just the nature of the beast. I've been in that situation where I didn't go home. I was like, screw it, it's too bad. I already planned on staying here. I'm just going to chill out and relax and go try to do whatever, just hang out. Bring some tackle in the hotel room and sort through stuff or whatever, because pulling a boat in that's just not fun.
No, that's scary.
Especially with certain trips.
Yeah. If you go across, if you got any bridge, I remember there's been a couple times going across the Mississippi Bridge over there. One in particular about 2 years ago when I was with Jerry, and it was 28 degrees, I remember, and we were going across. We just kind of crusted to where it started getting flat, and his trailer started getting kind of swirled. It was scary.
Yeah. Got light, yeah.
Yeah, I got really light. It was sketchy, very sketchy.
Yeah, it's is that crossing the Chester Bridge or the one down further Cape?
No, the Cape, the Bill Emerson Bridge, the 4-lane one, the big one.
That Chester Bridge is spooky.
Oh yeah, you got no room for error on that one.
No.
Jay said he'd fill in for you.
Well, there you go. I'm sure Greg would like that. Absolutely.
So no fishing.
He's probably fishing. He's got to be shitting, right? He's probably fishing the whole thing.
You talking about the Anglers in Action?
Yeah.
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 He's fishing that or not? I don't think he is.
If he's not, then I'll take you up on that, Jay. If I make it that far in the Toyota Series, like without a sponsor, I'm not gonna pay an entry. I just it's like we talked about last time. It's $1,700 entry on top of staying there a week and being off of work a week and having two kids that are one in high school and one in middle school.
So have you heard much about Table Rock Hawgz fishing right now? I haven't started digging into it.
Man, 2 weeks ago, I think Brandon Ramel caught 21 with 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd hate to guess what he was doing, but I would assume he was throwing an Alabama rig. You know, I don't know. I didn't ask him, but I'm just assuming that's probably what was going on. I know there's other guys down there, I think, that are catching him swimming a grub or a little spinner bait. A little swim bait. But
yeah, and that ice
fishing has been really good. I mean, Mike Webb has been guiding down there for 25 years, and he swears that winter is by far his favorite time to fish Table Rock. And I can see that as a guide. once you get on them and find them, they're just grouped up in the winter, and you can just go out there and catch them. They're not going to move too far in the winter, right? They're not going to make a big run. It's
Right.
cold. They're cold-blooded. So once you find a big group of them, they're not going far.
Yeah, there'll still be. I would think with this cold weather that's came in, I think it's going to hold them where they've been at. I know last year when we were down there, it seemed like they were starting to move into like the early pre-spawn. They were kind of starting to get a little bit scattered. I just know because, the guy I fished with, he was talking about how
this is the Table Rock.
Yeah, the Table Rock. They were starting to.
Oh, they're going to start positioning to go back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. But
it's cold weather that we've got right now. Like say it would have stayed 40s and 50s and stuff in the daytime, it would have encouraged them to move a little.
All they're going to do is put on the brakes wherever
Right.
they were in the progression. They're just going to put on the brakes. They're not going to expend the energy to go back, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I just don't know that
They moved out the points or whatever it was. I don't, then they're going to sit right there until something happens. And I still claim that this time of year and in the fall, the length of days dictates just as much as the weather. I mean, you got to factor them both in, because as the days get longer, their clock's telling them it's go time, So
we were talking when I was fishing with Jay the other day. We had a good bite in the morning, and then it was tough for several hours. Well, 4, 5, 6 hours. You catch one here and there, and then we caught a few right at the end of the day. But we started talking about the moon phase and the solar table, and your peak best times to fish and stuff, and kind of went back. And Jay sent me a text and showed me the chart for that day, and sure enough, it kind of coincided with when we were catching fish and when we weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about the photo period and stuff, and how it causes fish to make those transitions even when the conditions don't seem like they're right. But that's stuff to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
That's happened a lot of times with me. You have a good bite and it just disappears in the middle of the day, and you go back. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to check that solar chart, and sure enough, it would be a lot of times it would be pretty close to accurate. The times I was catching them was right when I was supposed to catch them within an hour, and it's going to depend on the weather conditions too.
Yeah,
it lines up a lot more than what.
Well, you've heard guys say, when you see the squirrels are active and the birds are active, and think, well, I bet if you went and looked, that's lining up with the exact same thing. So I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I don't know that those two, but I'm just saying that makes common sense, right? If that's if both of those things can be true at the same time, is what I'm saying. That's what makes those the other wildlife active as well. Hell, I wish Dave was on here. Well, I'm sure Jay, a lot of those guys at deer hunt probably could tell you the same thing.
Yeah, Jay said you have to have some kind of excuse.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, hell, but I'll get you in. Yeah, we'll work that out. If that happens, know you're available. That'd be nice. Gabe's filled in for me a couple times, I think, and Dave Holm has too.
I like May. Last time I good place down there.
Yeah, you guys did pretty well.
Yeah, we caught almost 20 pounds. That was a fun day.
And you'll get a fish with the most generous, nicest guy on the planet. So it's hard to not get along with Greg. That's
the first time I'd actually got to fish for bedding fish that I could see. I mean, around here, it's kind of stained. At least at Cedar, it has been. I mean, you're fishing for the bedding fish, but you're not seeing them. But I remember at Lake of the Ozarks when I was fishing with Greg, that on the backs of those walkways, they were spawning, and it was fun pitching a little baby brush hog to them and catching them, seeing them.
Weren't you down there with me one time in May when I told you, hey, watch this, and we walked out on Greg's house is way up on obviously a hill. It's at Lake of the Ozarks, and off the top floor, you look down and you can just see those fish in that cove, like swimming behind the docks and stuff, clear as day.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
I guess I need to take a drone down there next time so I can see.
Yeah, me and Dave Holm. Yeah, well, there's a reason why that's probably going to be. That's probably. I think it's a rule now, right? You can't do that. I think guys were doing that in Florida, so they didn't have to bust their way through all those reeds and stuff.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Well, they used to fly actual airplanes years ago.
You need to go down to Lake Fork or somewhere like that and bed fish. That's what's crazy. Or I'm sure Florida would be the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Big fish, they're easy to see.
I've got the bedfish over at Kincaid several times, but over there they're so scattered out with the grass and everything. And and to me, it seems like they bed a little bit deeper over there. It's not. I mean, there's a lot of lakes they bed pretty dang shallow, but over there for some reason it seems like they're a little bit deeper most of the time.
Yeah, it's like catching smallmouth bedding at Table Rock, out in whatever 15 and 20 foot. You can, bull shoals. I've never done it, but I imagine that's really, really crazy. I've never been there during the spawn. I love that lake though.
So is your lake behind your house froze yet?
No, it was open this morning.
Really?
I imagine it'll probably freeze up. We got geese in there right now, so they're kind of keeping
Stirring
it
up
stirred up a little bit. And we've had a little bit of a north wind.
Yeah, boy, they're gonna have to work overtime here.
Things like this. Up a notch.
Yeah, I'll say I looked this morning. I had about a 15-foot stretch in my pond. It wasn't frozen. By the time I got home this evening, it was.
Oh, really?
It was closed up.
Yeah, mine's a little more open. Mine gets more sun than yours. Yours is down. Just a little bit.
Yeah, we're down a freaking hole down here.
Yeah,
so.
the back of the pockets were froze up, but the main section of it, probably like 3 acres of it, was open. But it'll be froze up by the morning. I'm thinking.
Yeah,
-8.
Yeah.
What's up, Rich? Yeah, we got some of that coming too. I think
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, we're gonna have some of that. So,
this will be the first time our lakes or ponds or whatever have been froze around here in quite a long time. Really.
Yeah, I was getting depressed just thinking about that because I'm not going to be able to. It's going to be several weeks before I can go fishing again. Even Egypt will probably freeze up since the power plant's kind of shut down.
Now they're still running some of that, correct?
They're still running some. When we were over there the other day, we saw 40. Let's see, we saw 38 down past the no ski buoys, and then it was like 39 most of the lake. And then when you got up towards the power plant, it was like 41. And I think in the marina we saw 43. So not that warm, really. No. I mean, typically it'd be like high 40s, low 50s.
Yeah.
Huh. So I don't know. I bet that thing probably freezes up. At least you won't be able to launch a boat.
I don't know. My hand's been twitching so bad, ready to grab a pole. It's not even funny, but
see, that's crazy to drive semi trucks out on lakes around here. I've seen. I saw some actually. Was it Jason Shoddy that shared that video last year of that big ice fishing festival that they have down there in Mille Lacs? And
yeah, that's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah, they've got hundreds of cars parked on the ice and just
no part of that. I don't know. It's kind of like it kind of. If you're afraid of snakes, it's kind of like imagine trying to sleep in a tub full of snakes. It's like I don't know that I'd ever be comfortable with that many cars and people and stuff out on that ice. I mean, I know it's thick or what. You don't ever hear about them breaking a story about them going through or anything, but man, it just seems crazy to me. I felt bad enough just being with a group of guys on snowmobiles sitting on the ice. It's like, why? We could drive a little further. We're not fishing or anything. Let's just drive a little further and go sit on the lake. Why are we out here? But
I guess you just do it enough and you get comfortable. Yeah. I don't know what the.
I have a hard time just walking across my pond when it's frozen. But
yeah, I definitely rather be skating so I could get there in a hurry.
Yeah,
it's a commitment. It's like a leap of faith when you actually step out far enough off the bank to where you can't get back. It's kind of like flying being up in an airplane or whatever. It's kind of a leap of faith in a way.
I remember being a kid and we were just throwing bigger and bigger rocks out into until we. None of them ever went through. So we were like, I guess we could make it. That was our method. That was pretty stupid. Yeah. I remember as kids, we did bring a rope, but nobody tied it to anything or tied it to themselves. I don't know. We were smart enough to bring a rope, but didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So you got your Alabama rig stuff all ready to roll?
Yeah. I bought a couple new one of those too. And
what do you got back there, man? Show us some of that stuff.
Well, this is what I got to keep my Alabama rig from being such a mess. Trey turned me on to these. They're called the bait sack. It's like a big, sack that you can put your rig in. And then it's got 2 clips. One clips on here, and then one clips on your rod, and you can clip it on your rod. And it's more for when it's in the box, obviously. But it opens up. You slide your Alabama rig down. I got this big one, and I got 3 little ones for my 3 jerkbait rods. I usually keep 3, sometimes 4 jerkbait rods, but I bought 3 of those.
When those first came out, I used to make fun of them because there's just, it's like one more thing to keep track of in the boat. You know, we already have thousands of things we have to keep track of. But
rod sleeves and everything.
Yeah, rod sleeves and the bait sacks. But for like
Here you go, Greg. This is what I bought. I bought another one of these. It's just a little mesh bag for your rod sleeves. Wad them all up, stuff them in there, get the drawstring on it, and throw it in your compartment. It works pretty good. You can get them at Tackle Warehouse for like $5 or something. I bought one to try it, and it works great. You just, when you take them all off, just wind them up, stuff them in here. And
now, you use the rod sleeves like the that, what is that? Like a plastic nylon coating?
Like the Chinese thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chinese, just
the best ones I've ever got are the free ones. Are the free ones me and Gabe got from the Toyota series. Remember, Gabe? They were really nice material.
Yeah. Really
heavy tip at the end with the eyelet so you could hang it. And then to keep it from coming off versus having a strap, which I like the strap. Lose has a strap on theirs, but inevitably you get some hooks caught up in it and the strap gets butchered and it gets all stretched out. But it just has a heavier piece of rubber down at the end. So the first 3 inches of it's like a heavy rubber.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have your jerkbait or something down in there, the hook doesn't get caught in it. That's the best kind. But Toyota gave us one every year. So I've only got like 5 or whatever, however many Toyota tournaments we fished, owners tournaments.
I started using those. I'm trying to think of the name of them. It's I think it's RVR. Those ones I showed you.
Oh yeah,
those. I mean,
upriver.
Upriver. Yeah. Those I love those things. Your hook don't get caught in them. Even the drawstrings, your hooks don't get caught in. I really like those, and they wad up nice and small. They're not like springs in your box. I've seen that.
I haven't thrown these yet, but man, they look good. They're the 6th Sense Flow Glider. Reminds me, what's that rapper? Flow Rider. See if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
I was just thinking that looks like a nice big gizzard shad at Lake of the Ozarks. I can't wait to just get out and probably not in a tournament first, but throw this thing around docks and see what happens.
What's the color? What's that color called? Gizzard shad or?
What was it called? Ghost Bone Shad.
Ghost Bone Shad.
Yeah.
Two names you can't go wrong with.
No. No.
I can't get it out of the box. Oh, there we go. And it's jointed. You can see that.
Yeah,
that's a good look.
I like thrown around down there.
Yeah, I've never really. I have messed with it, but the one I had was a lot bigger than this, and I threw it during the Big Bass Bash. And I had a few follow it.
What's up? What's outdoors? First time on here. Good to see you on.
That's what's funny about Lake of the Ozarks, and we've talked about this before. Growing up in Illinois and fishing that dirty water. First time I went down there, and then eventually to Bull Shoals, and you just realize how many fish are actually in the water when you see 5 or 6 or 7 big fish with another fish. It's like, holy cow!
Yeah, that's that's what I was running into. You'd see a lot of followers with that thing.
And I got another one. It's in a bluegill spawn color. You can see that.
Can you take it out and check it out?
Sure.
Everything is better when it's naked.
Yeah, because they like eating them bluegill, don't they?
Everything.
I was waiting for you to say that. Yeah. Looks pretty good.
I don't have the receipt either. I don't remember exactly. When it comes to tackle, when I see shit I like, I just buy it. I don't really question too much about how much it costs. But
hey,
I don't buy anything crazy. I'm not one of those Polynix that's got 200 and 300 and however many swim baits.
If you don't like the color on that, just send it over to Mike Russell at Bag 5 Bait. He'll hook you up. That dude's got killer freaking paint jobs. Holy cow!
Chuck says the 6th Sense is coming out with a new glide bait. Might discount the Flow Glider.
Really?
I tell you what, we talked about this last week or the week before or something, but I've been looking a little harder at the 6-inch, like the provoke. I guess it's the 106, their jerk bait, and a lot of the colors they have some of the best colors. They're team 6-inch does. I'm impressed with their colors. You know, they're right there with similar to Mega Bass. I mean, it's different, but for just something you would go in Academy or a box store and pick up, they got probably some of the best colors for sure.
Yeah,
they look semi-custom. You know, they look custom painted. There you go. Is that the ones that Morrison Sons?
Yep. And I told him I needed green pumpkin purple. He sent me. I'll pull out the craw here in a minute. With this beaver style with the tips already dyed, already chartreuse.
Yeah.
And purple on one side and green pumpkin on the other side.
Yeah.
The dude's got a
with some flake. It's got some flake in it too, black flake, and I think a little purple flake. Yeah, I haven't thrown them yet, but man, they look good.
Rich says that Milliken is designing a new glide bait. It's going to be about $50. Oh, that's going to sell like mad. It's going to be probably a bigger seller than the tactical bass and crankbait, and it's $50. You still can't find those, I don't think.
Yeah, these really turned out good.
Yeah, I like those, man. Those do look good.
So I said he needs to stay with doing it. And for just starting out already to do the 2 tones and the tips like that.
Yeah, I got to get out and try these, but if they work half as good as they look, I'm just going to say, how many of these can you send me when I send you a couple $100 via PayPal? Just send me a big old bucket full of them.
Yeah,
there's a good tip from some of our charters. If you're doing the fantasy fishing, the spawning has started. The big fish around Friday, so he's down in Florida. He fishes that. What's the name of that place he fishes down there? I always forget that. Anyway, it's that new lake that they've been killing them down there on it for the last couple of years. Anyway, that's nice. We're about 2 months away from spawn, I think.
Here? Yeah.
Chuck says the Provoke 106 casts better than the Mega Bass. Action on them is phenomenal. They do cast good. I don't know. I think the Mega Bass cast pretty good too. They're both really good. But I like
weight transfer in the Mega Bass are nice.
Yeah, Mega Bass they both cast really good. I've actually been throwing those around a lot the last couple of weeks. Both of them, the Mega Bass and the Provoke, and they're both really good quality jerk baits in my opinion.
I agree. I'm a fan of the Spro jerk bait. I think it casts really well too. Phil,
go get you some, man. Go get you some. We'll talk about boots again for another 5 minutes, and then you can go get your drink and go to the bathroom. Yeah, that makes 6 pretty good. I've been catching a few fish on that.
So I seen this. I blame Jay Kumar and Bass Blaster for this. This was those guys up in Chicago that are catching all these smallmouth on this little 1/4 ounce jig.
Like a bitsy
yeah.
And
that looks like an Epic Eric jig worm thing that he's been making.
These guys are tightrope.
Headwaters.
And that's just a
Headwaters. That's right.
You can see that.
Tightrope.
It looks really good.
Yeah.
And then that trailer that I put on there is Poor Boy Baits.
Is that living rubber on that? Has it got living rubber on that?
It feels like it. It doesn't say, but it sure feels like it. Maybe it does say, and I didn't read it close enough.
It looks awful furry. I guess maybe it's just the cut that they got it on.
Yeah, it could be. No, it doesn't say.
Dang.
It says tie the baby fireworks sugar super jig to 10 to 15 pound fluorocarbon and watch things pop off. So anyway, I just thought I was gonna that's what I was telling you the other day again. It's got the clear like fluorocarbon weed guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
that's
got?
That's my version of finesse. That's as far as I'm going.
What do you got that tipped with again? What's your trailer?
It's just Poor Boy Baits, and they're called a 3-inch Erie Darter, and this one's in smoke purple. That's the name of the color. And I believe these guys are out of Tennessee. No, Indiana, Warsaw, Indiana, and the jigs are out of. I thought they were out of Chicago. These guys have some videos online of these guys catching a bunch of nice smallmouth and stuff right there in the city, on Lake Michigan and in the river. The river's coming in. So yeah, I thought I'm going to give these little jigs a whirl. I like the one that, like this, it's almost the same size, but it's in a 1/2 ounce. But I like two different approaches with the jig. Like
quarter, I think.
Quarter, okay.
That's a quarter, yeah. Come here when they start to get out on those points, getting ready to move back in those spawning coves. To me, it's still. I don't care if the water's, as long as the water's above 40 degrees. I still like to take a 1/2 ounce jig and throw it out there deep, 15 to 20, 25, and just barely move the thing. That big. And a lot of guys say get the subtle flappers. But if you're not moving them much, and if the water's kind of dingy, I like to still use that Yum trailer that's going to make a little movement just so they can feel its presence. Because you're moving it so slow,
Yeah, that's been my theory on that a little bit too. If you're moving it real slow, other than the fall, I mean, that chunk really slows the fall down on a jig.
Sure.
But if you're just fishing it on the bottom for fish that are stuck on the bottom, I don't know that chunk makes that big a difference if you're moving it really, really slow. I mean, some people may disagree, other than maybe a profile thing. That chunk's got a little bit wider, fatter profile.
Yeah.
But definitely it changes the fall. But on a straight drag, I don't know. I don't know.
To the bottom. And I used to do a lot of the drag kind of almost like a Carolina rig so you could monitor how far you were moving it real easy. But, man, I went out with Dion Hibden. He was telling me, he basically put his rod in a good hook setting position and then just ever so slightly turn the reel handle. When he'd hit something, he'd just stop and then move it a little bit more. And I heard I think I read it somewhere where pro was saying, it might have been in one of the most recent magazines, and it made sense to me how to describe it to somebody, is you're trying to count every rock from your cast back to the boat. Mm-hmm. Just trying to feel everyone, just move and think like a jerkbait, move it a little bit and then just let it sit there for a little bit. Because, think about it, bass, if they're lethargic, they'd rather have one big meal than screw around with chasing a bunch of little ones around. But these will get you bites for sure. Probably more around docks and stuff, in my opinion, throwing this and letting it, a little slow fall but once you're fishing it on the bottom, I like it to be heavy enough to feel it real good. And I might lighten my line up from what I would normally throw 20 or 22 to 15 or something. And I usually do that anytime I'm fishing deep, right? I think you got better feel.
Yeah, 15 is a good compromise line, I think. Maybe 17 if you're fishing some heavy brush and stuff. But
I'll fish this little bitty one on probably 12
mm-hmm.
or maybe even 10. And I have all loose rods except for one Mike McClellan finesse jig rod from Falcon that I really, really like. And I use that with anything like 3/8 and under on the jig side of things.
Dang shit.
Yeah, like a 7-foot medium heavy rod would be perfect for that.
Yeah. I mean, that rod's really good for it. It's not super long either.
Wow.
So 20.5 inches each.
That's impressive.
On average.
Andy Leonard just said a Hobie kayak tournament on Lake Seminole in Georgia. The winner caught 205.5 inches on his best 10 fish this weekend.
Woo.
It's pretty fit. That's pretty stout.
Solid.
That's pretty stout. Kayak, man, they don't mess around. They got to figure it out.
Dang.
So what would you say? You said that's a 20-inch average?
Yeah, that's about a 6-pound bass.
6-pounders.
Yeah. 4.5, 5-pounder maybe.
Depends on how fat they are.
Yeah, let's just lowball it. And it's impressive.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's and one of them was probably 6.5.
Jay says he likes the Skinny Bear finesse jig, and somebody else was saying, David was saying the Poor Boy is a legendary smallmouth bait in the Great Lakes area.
Yeah. Poor Boy was actually started by Lure-Craft and then sold.
Okay.
Seen it all while ago. I was gonna say something.
Yeah. Shadow Bassin got a sweet deal on the Corrado K6.
$131. That is a good deal.
2.
Yeah. So.
2 for the 130. Holy cow!
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it. I thought he was pointing out the gear ratio there.
Want to
I
sell
didn't even
one?
pay attention. Yeah, no kidding. I love my Corrado K, but
Phil asked, do you guys ever throw bucktail jigs?
I do not, but I've heard guys that
crappie. I throw the light, like a 32nd ounce on 4-pound test and a little ultralight for crappie all the time, man. That's my go-to. I got a guy at the street that ties them. He ties some killer jigs. But that's the only bucktail that I throw. What about you, Greg? Don't even.
Not really.
Really.
I mean, I've heard guys swear by it though.
Yeah, cold water. It's got that something about that synthetic hair. It's just got
kind of
stiff action, but
kind of glides more too than.
I'll say more. Yeah, there is more than. I'll say he started tying a bunch of his stuff.
Yeah, he's been tying some flies and doing a good job catching a few fish on them. That's the cool thing about tying your own flies and then catching some fish on it. It's the same thing with making your own jigs, Mike.
Yeah, tying your own jigs. Yeah, it's just kind of cool.
It feels good. Catch fish.
It does.
I'd end up wrapping my fingers up in it or something, get tied up.
Tying those fly fishing flies is just my old eyes. That sounds stressful. I guess you got the little glass and everything, right?
Yeah, well,
I bought one of those hobby lamps with the LED light in it and the big magnifier on the top.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
I bought one of those for my workbench downstairs. And when I'm, I change out all the split rings to oval ones on any crankbait that doesn't have them. And anytime I'm changing hooks, I try to do it there, underneath that light where I can see real good, looking through that magnifier. Just makes it quicker for me. When
you get to where you're tying basically size 16 on down, a lot of flies are 22, 24. You get some little tricos. They're actually, I've had size 30 tricos. I mean, it is just looks like a little piece of lint, but starting around size 16, you have to drop down in your thread. You got a smaller thread. And so you have to be real careful because you'll break that thread. And then you have to think about how you can only wrap the material the minimal amount of times to get that fly proportional. Because when you got a big fly, if you're tying on a size 8 hook or something, you don't have to worry about it too much. But when the smaller the hook, the more important it is to have just the perfect amount of material, or you just get something that's real big and tall and fat. And it looks like a trout pellet or something. So that's that takes so much practice is figuring out how many wraps to do each material, because you'll run out of hook and you can't build that hook. You can't build the material up too high or it won't catch on the eye of the hook. Basically, the eye of the hook has to catch your thread or everything will kind of slide off. So I'm not good at tying anything smaller than size 14. That's about where I draw the line at. I mean, I've done it, but man, it's tough. So,
yeah. Ethan's saying, do you guys ever mess with a bladed jig this time of year? Blade bait. I guess he's talking about a bladed jig, a chatterbait. Is that
no, I think he's talking about blade baits. The real small bait fish.
No, I don't.
Yeah, they work good.
We just caught some in that tournament we fished a couple weeks ago. Jerry caught several fish on a blade bait. And it was interesting. We were fishing this cove and I'd found some fish. There were fish in the area for sure. You could see those suspended fish out there, sitting down there about 10 foot over about 22, 24 foot of water. And they were just roaming. They'd come through transducer cone every once in a while. And I was fishing for those, not getting bit. So we started fishing a little bit shallower. I was trying to work the outside grass line. I was just throwing a jerk bait. I went from that little Lucky Craft, the 78 pointer DD, which gets down there about 8. And I got it set up to where it sinks really slow. And I was throwing the KVD 300 deep diver, which gets down there about 10, because I'm throwing it on 10-pound test. And then I'd mix it up with just a standard 110. It gets down there around 4. But I was just kind of alternating through those jerk baits. And I couldn't get them to react. I could not get them to bite. I mean, I'd let it sit for 15 seconds and I know I'm around them because I'm seeing them. They're good fish. They're the right kind of fish. I just couldn't get them to bite. So Jerry starts throwing that blade bait, just a chrome or silver, like a silver buddy. It's an off brand. And he's throwing it up there in 4 foot of water, 5 foot of water, 6 foot of water, just trying to land outside the grass line. And he caught 4 or 5 fish doing that in 30. It was, I think, 39-degree water, 40-degree water. But they wouldn't come up. They wouldn't hit a jig either. I threw a jig. I threw a finesse jig, threw that little Cumberland Pro finesse football jig, which is a really good jig this time of year. and they wouldn't hit it, and they wouldn't come up and hit that jerk bait. But for some reason, him just kind of popping that blade bait,
let it fall down like
just a couple feet off the bottom, they grabbed it. I mean, we'd been through that area. We fished it slow and thorough, and then we went back through it, and he started on that blade bait. So those fish were there the whole time. They just wouldn't react to what the other stuff I was throwing.
Interesting.
It was really interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I've never. I mean, do you guys remember the old Johnson silver minnow back in the day?
Yeah, man.
I used to fish that all the time as a kid. Put a spinnerbait trailer on it and fish it through the weeds and the grass. Yeah,
sure.
That was all the rage at one time.
I got some of those talking spoons. That was kind of another deal there for a while. It's like a hard plastic, and they got a rattle inside of them. So it's like a Johnson weedless minnow or whatever.
Like there's a one for you.
Oh, well, that depends on what kind of jig I'm throwing. But for the most part, like I said, if I'm throwing 3/8 or less, I throw that McClelland, and I think it's a 7 foot. It's not real long, kind of a medium heavy with a fast tip, kind of a lighter, more of a parabolic bend at the end of it. Because with that lighter, because that's usually a lighter wire hook, and I fish it with 12-pound test. And that's so you can kind of just lean into them and set the hook instead of hammering them. And then the rest of the time, I pretty much use the same rod. It used to be called the Lou's football jig rod, and I forget what they call it now. They changed it. It's the same rod, but it's a 7'2" medium heavy with a fast tip.
Instead of a 7'3".
Yeah,
it used to be 7'3".
No, it is 7'3". What I'm thinking of is because I had 7'2" in my head because you knew that they were eventually going to come out with skipping when Andy Montgomery came out with that reel. They were going to come out with a rod too, so they got a new one. But I can't get the reel or the rod yet. So a 7'2" is the skipping rod, which I'm going to try. Yeah. Right now I still skip because I think that inch off for me being a little shorter, I'm okay with that. But the 7'3" football jig rod, it's like a medium heavy with a fast tip, and I fish that usually with nothing less than 20-pound test. Or else I'm fishing out deep, I might drop it down to 18 or 15 in the wintertime, but in the round docks and stuff, it's 20 or 22-pound fluorocarbon. What is it? The flipping line.
The flipping line?
Yeah, I use the flipping line on that. Even if I'm not flipping, if I'm making casts, I still like to be able to see my line. So, and that's a great skipping rod, but I'm sure the skipping reel set up for it. And I think, ironically, I don't think it's Andy Montgomery. I think it's going to be branded with KVD's name on it, which is kind of weird.
It's real weird.
You ever tried any of the crap? I just brain took a fart there.
But I used to use Falcon rods, and they're the Cara series or Cara series, however you say it. Mm-hmm. Those things are killer too. I've still got a couple of those around. But
have you thrown DC reels?
Excuse me?
DC reels?
Mm-mm. No, he's just loose. He's a loose guy.
I haven't used anything but loose except for my one Daiwa that I still use.
Yeah. I would definitely say if I had a suggestion for anybody wanting to learn how to skip, that is a huge.
Oh, is that electronic deal with the electronic braking?
Oh, it is unreal.
If you get a good reel set right, it's you can still make a mistake.
Right. But with those, I mean, you could set them on just for skipping, and it's pretty easy to learn. But if somebody wanting to learn how to do it, that's a good starting point right there.
In my opinion, skipping's all about the rod and the boat position. I mean, you got to be back a little further than you think. And
that's one thing I see a lot of guys do, and they don't understand. They want to skip, and you'll see them pull right up to a dock within 10 feet of it, and they don't understand. Back off, about 20 foot, and give yourself room to make that cast in there. It goes a whole lot better. Yeah,
I grew up on a lake as a kid, and I swear to you, the reason I'm pretty good at skipping a jig is because I'd hate to guess how many rocks I skipped, and it's not a whole lot different. I mean, I used to walk the shoreline skipping rocks, as a kid, and it's not any different. I mean, it's the same. The angle is, to get it to skip. It's the same thing. And
following through with your rod tip going up.
Yeah, bringing your rod tip up. Yeah, and that works out perfect generally. If I got my rod set just right, I'll get a little bit of a loop in there, but it's just enough for me to raise it real quick with my thumb on it so it doesn't get out of hand. and peel off that little loop, and then that's got a little slack to let it fall, So yeah, that's and it's just practice. That's all it is. But boat position to me is as important as. Now you're not going to go out there and be able to any good at it with the wrong rod and the wrong reel. You're just not,
Go out there with a 7'6" rod, and you're only
you go out there with a broomstick and try to do it. It's just not going to work out. You need to tip the load up and sling that thing out there.
Yeah.
So
I had a good question here. He said, "What's y'all's opinion on the winter spring Ned rigs? Oh, winter to spring Ned rigs, I guess."
I'll let Gabe throw those.
I kind of stay out of that boat too.
There's as finesse as it gets. That's my Ned rig. It's as close as it gets.
Man, Bonfire, the Ned rig's a fish catcher for sure. Any time of the year, even in the spawn, a lot of guys catch them off of beds. And the problem I have with the Ned rig is it is, like Mike says, just finding one that's even snag resistant is tough to find. They get hung up so much. I
think they roll over or something. It's too easy.
I don't know. I mean, if it's the mushroom head design on them, the best one I have found is made by Hayabusa, and it's their brush jig. I think it's a little ball head Ned rig. It's got about, I want to say it's got like 4 or 6 mono fibers weed guard on it. It's a real thin weed guard. That's the only one that I found that I can throw, like on Table Rock. I threw it last spring, and I only lost 2 of them, and I threw it for like a couple hours. Normally, I'm like 3 to 5 cast on a regular mushroom head, even the weedless one with the wire. And it depends on the rock. I think with the Ned rig, you got to know when to fish it and when not to fish it, or you're just going to get hung up. If you're fishing like pea gravel and stuff like that, if you're fishing grass, things,
chunk rock is not
chunk rock. No, man. I haven't found a head that keeps me fishing it. I get mad and I start throwing a shaky head. And then what I have done, I've done this a couple times, is I've taken a jig like what you had, Mike, like a 1/4 ounce jig, and just take the skirt off of it and thread,
that makes more sense.
The Z-Man TRD on there and glue it on there. And
if you picture that thing without the skirt,
yeah,
it's not a whole lot bigger than a Ned rig. It's 3 inches.
Right.
So,
yeah. 3 inches is pretty big.
It gets the job done, but I know Mikey Balls is he catches a lot of fish on those Magnum Ned rigs, and he basically what he has is it's a jig, but it's got the mushroom style head. It's got a bigger hook on it, and that's his Ned rig. It's basically a Magnum Ned rig. And something like that, yeah. I would definitely throw that around. But there's something weird. It looks so stupid, but it's kind of like a Cinco, right? I mean, a Cinco looks
it looks ridiculous.
The same way. They just when they're in a negative mood or whatever, they can't stand that thing and they suck it up. So it's a great bait. It's definitely a fish catcher. I
think when you're throwing it up there in those beds too, and everybody else is throwing other stuff that has
yeah, when they're sitting off that grass and stuff, you can catch them on it for sure.
I'm definitely, when I'm fishing beds, I got 3 or 4 or 5 different things to throw up there. Keep trying different stuff. Maybe get them worked up with one thing and then throw that Ned rig at them.
Yeah, Ron said we might like to red Ned rig when we come to Minnesota.
Yeah, I'd be bringing some up there. Definitely. Now, if I was catching 5-pound smallmouth, I could probably tolerate a Ned rig getting hung up.
Yeah, and Ron said he would retie everything we needed. So
that's what he does.
Yeah,
you just when you got a little nick in the line, you just swing it around there and he cuts it off for you.
That's perfect.
Yep.
He just dangle it in front of his face.
He ties the FG knot on there for you and everything.
Really, that is awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
We took a young man, Stan's. I guess it was his not stepson, but cousin maybe. When he graduated, he came and lived with Stan Denninger whenever finishing high school. And me and Stan, he got into bass fishing. So me and Stan took him down the Lake Fork and got a guide. And I took my boat. And no kidding. The guide that we got, his name was Larry Large. So what better get? And Stan kept saying, "Come on, man, that ain't your real name, right? That's your stage name. There's no way your real name's Larry Large."
It's your guide.
But That kid would get hung up and he'd go, "Excuse me, Mr. Large, but I'm hung." And he'd turn around every time and go, "Congratulations, son."
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It was
Like
fun.
a script from a movie or something.
What was funny about it is he was like 5'3". He was a little bitty dude.
Larry large.
You ever fish greenfish tackle jigs, Mike?
Greenfish? I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm willing to try. Always looking for something else. Those Cumberlands are so nice too, man. Whew.
Yeah, I got some of those coming sometime, and when we fish, I
look forward to that. They look so killer.
Yeah, they're nice jigs, man. They do a good job. That swim jig's really, really nice. I've been throwing that finesse football jig around and the swim jig around the most. The standard football jig's fine too.
Lucky Lee's brother.
I say that I haven't fished this thing yet. It looks so awesome, but it could be like what you're saying. You could go out the first time with this damn thing and get hung up 4 times in a row and think it's the dumbest jig ever. So, you know what I'm saying? And then just like that tournament, that championship I fished, I couldn't believe that. I fished that entire 2-day tournament with the same jig. Never lost a jig in 2 days of a tournament. And it wasn't like I wasn't putting it in nasty places either.
We have a few jigs like that.
Yeah, we do. We do. I was going to give one to Jay, actually, and I will give one to Jay, but I forgot.
Well, I told Mike you were going to give him like 3 of each color, so
I'll see what I can do. It's weird how how a little subtle difference. Something we've learned from.
I think the angle, the tie.
Yeah, from working with Isaac at Cumberland Pro, and he was had moccasin jigs before that, and they're just a little subtle change in the head design and the line tie, like you talked about, makes a world of difference. It's crazy. I mean, I wouldn't have believed it.
I've never kept jigs that long.
Yeah,
ever.
Yeah, they just got it's amazing.
And skipping, man,
that swim jig skips really good, man.
Yeah,
the new.
So he's got a jig design for skipping, or is just one that happens to work well?
It's his swim jig, and I think it's just a 1/4 3/8. I don't think he has a 1/2 ounce mic, but that little finesse football jig by Cumberland Pro skips really good too. A football jig skips pretty good regardless.
Yeah, I skip that 1/2 ounce heavy cover finesse from Jewel a lot.
It's the finesse skirt. It's a smaller skirt. It doesn't catch as much water, so you put something flat on there and it just goes.
I was going to say, Mike, when you're doing a lot of skipping, you're using more of a flatter bait or your trailer.
No, I use that Yum Chunk most of the time, but a beaver will make it skip a little better.
Right.
I mean, I wish maybe that's what I should get with making those baits.
Morrison,
right? Yeah. Morrison, yeah. Because make a beaver style back with the flappers on it, so it skips a little better. That's not a bad idea. But a football jig skips good. I don't know if you guys have ever thrown the Dock Rocker from Jacked Baits, but that thing skips really well too.
Yeah. One flat bait I've noticed is the Missile D-Bomb. Does not skip nearly as well as most of the beaver style baits.
Ribs in it.
Those ribs, and they catch so much more.
And they're deep ribs too. Yeah. I was going to say that taking the ribs out of it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
At least on that part of it,
Just straight beaver skips a whole lot better than the D-Bomb. Just for that.
Yeah.
Bonfire says he was fishing Lake Egypt 3 weeks ago, and the Nedge were the deal. They wouldn't hit a jerk bait. Yeah, I throw a shaky head over there a lot of times, but I think a Ned would be something to definitely have on the deck.
Yeah, not to mention how many other jerk baits have they seen in the past month and a half?
They've seen a lot of jerk baits. They won't even hit an A-rig over there.
I was going to say the A-rig. Look how many people are fishing that, and all of a sudden it just came to.
They haven't hit an A-rig. They haven't hit an A-rig since November over there. From what I've seen, they just don't even look at it really.
They've got accustomed with the sound of that thing crashing down.
They're done with it, man. They've had enough.
Yeah. You
got about September and October, you can catch them on it, and then they start seeing it, and I think they just get away from it. I mean, Rod would know. He's on there all the time, but It's almost useless right now.
Uh-oh. See George dinner?
Uh-oh. I hate to say it, but I like the Guggen swim baits. Man, Guggen makes some good stuff. I mean, it's a one fish wonder from what I've seen, but the plastics are really, really soft. They got good colors. The profiles are nice, but I mean, Greg throws that bandito bug all the time. He got me on it. And it's
a great bait. It just don't last.
Yeah, it doesn't last. But I haven't thrown the swim baits.
Morrison says to see yourself out, George. I like that.
That's great.
Yeah. I like my stuff to last too. I don't like the one and dones myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's time messing around with rigging.
I'll say even after throwing it 15 or 20 times, even with those Guggen baits, you'll start to see it just start ripping and everything else on there.
Yeah. Smallwater Charters has been fishing with the bruiser baits. He got hooked up with bruiser baits. He said the super swimmers are very stable. So if you guys go check out his channel, you can see the bruiser baits on there. He's been catching some fish on those swim baits, fishing those. Well, I think they're weightless, Texas rig around the grass.
Think about it.
Pretty decent looking swim baits.
Gosh, I want to forget the name of them. What's the line through when the is it Optima?
Yeah, geez. Yeah.
Osprey.
The Osprey. Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah.
I'm not a swim bait expert by any means, but
belly weighted swim bait is what they're down there.
I've still got a bunch of the original hollow body bass tricks. Those things are tough to beat too.
It's hard to beat the bass trick. I mean, Ignite. I want to give away probably 6 years ago. I just guessed the winning weight. It was when Jason Lambert won really big down there. Well, one of the times he won really big down there on Kentucky Lake. But anyway, I got an Ignite swim baits giveaway, and he sent me like a bunch of stuff. And those are some pretty nice swim baits. They got that real fat profile. They're not flat. They're solid, but they're just a big, nice swim bait. They swim really good. And they got some good weight. And you know what? That 7'6", it's a Hawgz Custom. It's the CBR or the CBR3. It's a crankbait rod, 7'6", but that's my swim bait rod, and it's rated for up to 1 ounce. I was throwing that 7-inch Ignite swim bait, which is 2 ounces of plastic just by itself, and I was putting it on a 1 ounce head with an 8/0 hook, and I weighed it on a scale, and it's 3 ounce weight, and I was throwing it around no problem with that rod.
Yeah, I would think so.
Overloading that rod, it could handle it just fine. I caught like a 7-pounder on it. So
I was gonna say you could probably launch it too with that.
Yeah, you don't have to do much, man. You just kind of get it going and it takes off. But and the reason I brought that up is because I was seeing some question on Facebook on I can't remember what site it was on, but a guy had a question. He had bought it was actually a Hawgz what is it, the Hero Custom? I can't remember that lineup. Anyway, it said this rod is rated for I think a 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce. And he was worried about if he could throw something that was heavier than that. And my comment was a lot of times you can even go up to like a 1 ounce, even though the upper end on it is 3/4.
Right.
Not just, that's probably the ideal weight for that rod to work within, but you can certainly go up a little bit heavier or definitely a little bit lighter.
Yeah, for sure.
So you just got to try that stuff, see how it handles.
Yeah.
I mean, don't just do that, because if it's too much for it, it's going to be.
So you're talking about going below or above it or below that. Hell, my frog rod. I mean, it's rated for like 1/2 ounce to I think 2 ounce or whatever. But I mean, I throw lighter stuff on that thing all the time, and it's just because it's such a stiff rod and it's light.
Yeah. I mean, I have an old KVD Quantum 8-foot cranking rod, and it has. I got it from Dave Holm, actually. It's an old Quantum. I think it's a 3.8 to 1 gear ratio. And it's a huge wide spool, kind of a heavy old reel. But I took that to Trey, and he put some ceramic Boca bearings in there. You put a 10XD on that thing, man, you can just launch that thing. It is ridiculous because of that big wide spool and those bearings. And then It's like reeling in a 2-pound crappie every time you throw that 10 XD. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And of course, when you get one hung up, it's down there a mile. You know, if you're throwing it on like 12-pound test or 14-pound test, it's, I don't know how deep it gets, but probably 25 feet or so.
Yeah. Yeah.
On a long cast.
Especially on 12 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big water classic for sure.
Yeah. There's no, it's hard to get those out when they get hung up that deep.
We need to make a trip to my buddy's house this year. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah. With the splitter strings.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys remember a few years back when those guys were doing all that long lining? Remember that was a thing for a couple tournaments?
Yeah. Go out and drop it, then troll over.
Yeah. That's a lot of that's some confidence that you're over a bunch of them too, right? That's a lot of work.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of them guys doing that over points, you know, coming across that point.
I do a lot of, at the right time of year, I do a lot of throwing a football jig out and just getting on the trolling motor and getting on a depth contour and just dragging it behind me, keeping a nice steady speed. When I went out to California on my honeymoon, we fished Lake Mission Viejo, which has had several 16 and 17-pound fish caught out of it, super clear. And that's how he fished. We threw out a little bitty Carolina rig, and just let out a bunch of line. So it was way, way behind the boat. And then he just followed a contour line on his trolling motor real slow. So a lot of times in practice, I'll do that, trying to find fish that way. Or if I want to eat a sandwich and not stop practicing, I can just throw that out and just sit there and on the trolling motor, rod in one hand, sandwich in the other. What you got there?
Oh, well, I was going to show you.
He's got one like that.
Does he?
Remember?
Yeah.
With that grip tail?
Is it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So last time you were on here, we were talking, we showed some of the Morse and Sons custom baits. So this time we're going to show a few things. This is a Hawgz Custom Bait. Jay Beffa on here.
That's a cool logo.
These guys, yeah, I like it. Tough looking, man. But anyway, they're
no, that's what it was.
What?
Jay was showing us this.
Yeah, Jay was showing.
That's where I see. I was like, man, I know I've seen
that's
that.
their design.
Yeah, because he was fishing on his A rig.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's their design. So they've got a couple unique products. One that's been a really big seller is this. It's kind of a grub swim bait hybrid.
I'll let you open that.
Yeah, I'll open it. Last time you got all oily.
Yeah, it's I felt like I just come out of the bathroom with a shame.
It's got squid scent in it, but this is pretty unique design. So it's I don't know. It's just a hybrid. It's a grub tail, but it's got that bait fish body. And
it's like a goby.
Yeah, it's unique. It's got a lot of action. So he's been throwing these around. These have been real good on A rigs. You could probably even throw that on a ball head. I'm thinking like a 1/4 ounce ball head would probably be just about right. I don't know if you can see that color. There's the color. It's not doing it justice.
Yeah,
it's kind of a blue pearl. That's not going to help, but
I usually see it pretty good.
Yeah, you see it pretty good, but cool.
You definitely moisturize, Gabe. Your hands look nice.
Thank you. I have to put a lot of that. That melt dries your hands out, man. I got to keep that lotion on all the time. But really cool little bait. On an underspin too. I got to see this thing on underspin. And it's pretty cool. It's different, man. It's just a different look. Everybody's there. All the fishers are used to seeing the 2.8s, the 3.8s, and 3.3s, and all that. This has just got a different look to it. And another bait that I got to throw around is it's a shaky head worm. It's the Feral Hog Junior, I think. Jay can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Very bottom.
Sounds like a NASCAR driver, Feral Hog Junior.
Yeah, and it's like I'm gonna say it's like a 4 1/4 inch shaky head worm. Yeah, that's it right there. But more. I mean, it's got
pre-dye tip too, right? A little orange on there.
This is smooth right here. See, it's got the little ribs up on the top. The tail part of it's smooth, and he's pouring this with without salt. So this sucker floats pretty good. It does a good job of floating. But I was throwing that around on a 3/16 ounce jig head or 1/4 ounce jig head the other day. It's got it's got good action. It looks really good in the water. So, and the color, I don't know the exact color of that. It's got a lot going on in there.
It's got like a green pumpkin with a orange tip.
Yeah, it's an orange tip. It's an interesting bait. And then they've got some
It's a great color combination.
It's a good looking color. It looks really good.
What was that little grub that you had on there? That you said you threw on an underspin?
Yeah.
I was just thinking, how about a couple of those on a smaller Alabama rig?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what these have been. That's how these have started getting popular on an Alabama rig. There's
I can see that. Yeah.
Some guides down in, I want to say, Florida and in Georgia that have been just smashing them on this bait right here. They're having problems keeping them in stock.
You know, if Jay was on the other side of the table, he'd probably be kicking us in the shins by now.
For showing that, yeah. It's a cool little bait, man. It's a cool little bait. And then they got another. You'll like this one, Mike. It's kind of to mimic the Magnum trick worm. It's a little bit bigger worm.
Hang on, just go ahead. You're fine. You'll still be showing.
So
that blue.
I think blue flake, ½ inch. I think the Magnum trick worm is probably. I want to say it's like a 7. This is just a fatter, shaky head worm. It's got the flat side on it too. So if you want that slow fall, you rig this down. If you want it to fall a little faster, you can put the round side down. But it's got that same kind of plastic. So high floating plastic, low salt.
Dude, I bet you could rig that on just a 3/0 wide gap hook. And
yeah,
I bet you could rig that on a 3/0 wide gap hook and fish it like a fluke if it floats a little bit around that grass.
This worm?
Yeah.
I do that a lot. I'll tie I'll just tie a swivel, and then I'll tie like about a 6 to 8 inch tag off of it, and just put some kind of a finesse worm or shaky head worm on just a 4/0 EWG, and just twitch it just like a fluke.
Maybe experiment with a nail weight in different spots on it and see how it, you need it to sink a little bit, maybe twitch a little better.
Yeah, this would be a great Nico rig worm too. Definitely can see that being a Nico rig worm. They got several different colors. He's going to try to pull it up right now.
Chuck, I'm getting this up here. Hang on, give me just a second. I'll share this.
And then they got some pretty cool crawl baits.
So there you guys go. It's on there. That's their that's on their Facebook page. So
is there any pictures on there?
I like the money.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Except they're one. Oh, there's a 20. I was gonna say they're all ones.
There's a crawl bait that they've got.
Wrong one here. Hang on. I was going to mine.
It's unique too. It's just got a little bit different pinchers on there. It's a nice compact crawl, but the pinchers are really long. Just nice meaty body. It's got kind of like
those are really thin legs. It looks like they probably got some action.
They got a lot of action. Yeah. And it doesn't have a lot of, he doesn't have legs on the body. So it's like a chunk, basically like a crawl chunk, but I haven't got a chance to throw these around. I think that's a new worm that they just came out with. It looks like Dirty Sanchez to me. It's got the Dirty Sanchez kind of look to it.
Yeah. See what else you got? Some more of them there. A little translucent going on.
Yeah. And then the other, let's see. I got this color too that is
two fatties there.
I don't know if I'm supposed to show this color.
Yeah.
This is a good color around the grass.
What happened there?
Purple soap kind of color or something.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. It's flashy.
It's got the Kung Fu grip. Crawl's got the Kung Fu grip. Yeah.
No action though. And I got one more thing in here.
Let me see that one before you put those up.
Okay. I think you got it. Oh, so this is like a basically kind of like a super hog, like a Zoom super hog kind of pattern. So.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's a good universal bait.
That's some tough plastic too.
Yeah, it holds up pretty good.
They got any stank to them?
I think the crawls are actually, one of them is scented with actually crawfish, whatever, and then some of it's scented with squid.
Yeah, I didn't see that earlier.
It's not overbearing, but there's some smell to it. A little bit of smell to it.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a big believer. I'm not a believer that the scent.
Ooh.
Is that
Wow, that's good.
That's squid. There you go.
Oh,
Question answered.
Holy cow.
Subway tuna.
Oh, ooh. I took a big ol' whiff of that. I was not expecting to be that strong.
You're not a seafood man?
Oh, not yet.
I always wanted to make a catfish bait and name it Dead Body. I think that's
Yeah.
Dang.
So that's
that will get noticed. I'll guarantee it.
That's Hawgz Custom Baits. They got a Facebook page. If you want to go check them out, get on Facebook and look them up.
Where are they based out of, Gabe?
They're out of Festus, man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right down the road
for the rest of us.
Right down the road from you.
Yeah.
Knocking on your back. No, I am not tasting that, Jay. Not happening.
Come on, dude.
The spell about knocked me off the chair. I don't need to taste it.
That's what she said.
Got a couple.
Yeah, Gabe, I thought I was going to get myself fired from 97.1 with my 2 girls, 1
That's
cup.
classic, man. I had to pull over. I was laughing. That was funny.
Those dudes like all simultaneously just like, oh, show's over. I thought I was really in trouble. Like they were all going to get in trouble. We're all going to get
I
fired.
gotta go back and listen to it. It's pretty funny. It's right at the end.
I'm still playing catch up from Kansas City last week.
So Second Amendment Radio podcast. Mike was a guest on there. He's a guest on there probably every couple months, but
about once every month and a half has been about the average.
But if you guys haven't checked that out, go listen to the podcast that dropped today. It's pretty good.
The podcast exclusive. So how it works is we record on Thursday, and then I think they release that podcast immediately, don't they, Gabe? I think they do.
It's on Friday, I think.
Yeah,
Friday. But then Saturday it's on the radio from 3 to 4, and then it's on KMOX on Sundays. Usually after the Cardinal games when they're playing, it's when it comes on, which is kind of cool. But the way Tony's been working it, I'm usually come in for that last little 7, 8, 9, 10-minute segment at the end of the radio show. And then we do another 20 to 30 minutes podcast exclusive. And he does it with me, and then he does it with a couple other guys, some hunting guys, some camping guys, just whatever. Sometimes it's another Second Amendment type guy, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And Bo Matthews just, and now Carl Middleman's intern Carl from the old Morning Zoo, he's our producer. So it's just kind of cool being on the radio with a couple of guys you grew up listening to when you were a young man. So, and there's no mistaking Bo Matthews' voice. That guy's been around St. Louis radio forever. Super good guys, both, all 3 of them. Tony's a madman. I think I don't know how that guy even ever gets any sleep. He's constantly on the radio and constantly behind the scenes at 97.1. So
that's a Red Bull Monster Energy.
Yeah, he does do a share of that, man.
Yeah.
And I got to get him his Tin Horse shirt.
Good night, small water charters. Go catch him in the morning, man. I'm jealous. We're gonna have ice.
Is that the gentleman from Florida?
Yeah. He's got 80-degree days, and his water temps are like mid-70s, and he's catching them 2 foot of water on moving baits.
Give me just a second, Mike. I'm going to share that link on here.
And he's in a state that lets you go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to go down to Florida this year. I think. Well, at some point, if not this year, next year. My good friend, my wife's good friend Lori, and her husband, they have a house down there, and they've been bugging us. So Kara's going to fly down, and I haven't decided if I'm going to pull the boat down or just find a local guide versus dragging the boat down and just go out for a couple of days down. I really want to take my own boat, though.
Guys, let me know if that link actually works. I don't know if it'll work in the comments or not, but I posted it down there. That's to the Second Amendment. Podcast there.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, Tony will appreciate that. You can always You can always swipe it and hit copy and paste for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I was doing, but I didn't know if it'd show up as an actual link down there. But
no, it doesn't. You can't click on it, but you can copy it.
Jay says the crawbaits have pure crawfish scent in them, and
so let's talk a little bit about that. I've always believed, ever since the old fish formula days and all the stuff that you sprayed on, I never thought it was like a huge. You're going to put it on there and fish are going to flock to it. But I sure think it doesn't hurt to mask much like the Hydrowave mask your presence with the audio. I don't think it's a bad idea to mask your scent off of it. Same reason I I'm not a superstitious guy, and it's not even a superstition. I do not get gas the morning of a tournament. I'm not gonna.
Depends on what you ate.
I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm not gonna put gas in my boat the morning of the day.
Going down the street from Greg's house, and it's another story.
Oh, that stuff's so good. You don't get nothing from that.
I hope they're back open, man. We tried to swing by them. They were closed, remember?
Yeah, they went on. They took a little vacation. I think me and Greg were down there not too long ago. They were back open.
Okay, good deal.
But you know what I'm saying? I just think it masks your scent. And even if the bait has built-in scent in it, I keep one of those little crawfish sticks. A couple different companies make them, or shad sticks, and rub them. And when I do a jig, I like to do the brush guard. I put a bunch of it on the brush guard because if you think about it, that thing's maybe in my mind it's brushing up against stuff and we're like kind of releasing that scent off of there as it. You got a couple globs of it on there.
Morris and Sons is out. Good night, man. Take care.
Yeah.
I used to take
brush guard. Have you ever done that? That's a good idea.
No, I use the Bang a lot. So
yeah, you just spray it all over.
Oh yeah, spray the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I tried that goopy stuff. I bought a Bass Pro a couple of years ago. It was crawfish and something.
Fish sticks or it's.
I mean, it was goopy as hell. But the problem I had with it is you throw it about 2 or 3 times, you go back and peel it, there was nothing left on your bait.
Huh.
So
I like the smelly jelly a lot. Smelly jelly's good too.
Yeah. I think there's 2 times when scent makes a obvious difference. And one is the winter for sure. I've seen it make a big difference in the winter.
Anything that's moving when you're moving it slow, I think it makes a difference.
Slow and the fish are negative. I think it's just a little bit something extra that makes them commit. And then around the spawn, I've really seen it make a difference around the spawn because then fish get real finicky sometimes. And I think that little bit of scent will make a difference. I mean, I've seen that happen multiple times.
Yeah. So here's a little trick I use, and I do it on tubes, and I do it when I Carolina rig. Is if you I guess one of the high school kids asked me, "What are all these earplugs?" In my terminal box, there's a bunch of earplugs, and I like to take a tube, and then Gene LaRue makes a longer lizard that's hollow, and I like to stuff a couple rattles in there, squirt a bunch of the scent, and then I plug a earplug in the back, and it soaks up all that scent, and it helps it float on your Carolina rig with that earplug, and then I think it releases kind of a slow trail of scent behind that Carolina rig. And I do it with a tube too, but just soak the earplug in that scent, and then just jam it up inside that tube. It holds your rattle in, and it holds the scent.
I bet straight wax would work too. Just took the earplug out, just stuff it in there. I'm just saying, if you're out of bang,
take your dip out and just stuff it into the
whatever.
tube.
Just put a random object inside of the lizard.
Remember the coffee tubes were all the rage, so why not the Grizzly or Kodiak tubes? Just jam a bunch of.
I can tell you that crappie do not like dip, because I spit some out in my pond one day. Watched a crappie nab it, and he spit it out quicker than took it in.
it wasn't
like that.
It was the wrong brand.
I guess.
You had Copenhagen. You had Kodiak.
We've all had that friend, right, that got a little drunk and thought he was going to start dipping and stuck it in. You watch him turn green and then just throw up immediately. I love that. I've watched that happen personally, like at least 3 times.
Jay says they specialize in customization. So that's Hawgz Custom Baits. So if you guys got colors that you're looking for, get a hold of them or see if they can make it happen.
Or the scents.
Scents are optional.
Yeah. Andy said, what's your favorite pre-spawn pond big bass lures for dirty water?
Yeah, that's a good question. A real good question.
I know mine.
Man, a spinnerbait.
That's where I was going.
Yeah. I was going to say a spinnerbait or a big swim jig. Either way.
Yeah, you could throw a chatterbait in there, but that spinnerbait, dude, anytime you're talking cold, dirty water, pre-spawn, it's hard to beat.
Just the one giant willow leaf.
Colorado, man, like a size.
Colorado or a big willow and a swim bait on the back of it even.
Either one, yeah.
I definitely like a double willow with a gold blade, gold and silver blade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like doing that too. It covers your bases.
Yeah.
I've had a couple. I forget the name of the spinnerbait now. Is the guys I met at the show down in Marion one time, and it had 5 willows on one blade that progressively get bigger as they go.
Yeah, they had
super light wire.
popular for a while.
Yeah.
I had to
I'm sure your line don't get tangled up in that throwing it in wind either.
No.
That's a lot of drag. I've fished those before.
Yeah, they try to rise. You really got to be. They try to come up for sure.
Bass Guy 1960 says, check out JB's Fish Sauce Black Magic Scent. Check it out. Sounds good.
Yes. There's so much of that stuff out there. Like I said, anything that's masking your scent and has some kind of natural nasty fish scent or crawdad, it's probably good.
Was it BJ's that had the catfish
Yeah,
bait?
yeah, BJ's, man. It's classic.
Holy cow.
Stinky, dude. Knock your socks off.
So it's been probably 3 years ago. We had a smell in our basement. Didn't know what it was. And I guess just over time, the jar finally just deteriorated and cracked open. It was bad. Yeah.
Okay. I got a mailman story for you. There's a couple of these old school dudes, these old timers. We call them old timers. And they were always messing with each other. These guys have worked together for like 30, 35 years. And they were always trying to one up each other, causing, doing pranks against each other. So this dude, we had a locker room back in the old facility, the post office downtown. And we had an actual locker room. There's a break room. And then on the other side of the break room in between the bathrooms were actual lockers, just school lockers. And everybody had to keep their uniform, their jacket, any of their extra supplies in those lockers. So one day, I'm not sure exactly how this came about, but one of the guys, I think it was Ivan and Ralph. Those were the two guys that were always messing with each other. One of them put some stink bait in the coat pocket of the other dude's jacket. And this was in the off season, this wasn't like cold. This was like fall to where you were still a month away from using your jackets. And he got in that locker, dude. He puckered up, just about passed out. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was freaking.
I got a similar story, not to say but so we were in high school at Alton High School. When you got to be a junior, when we started driving or knew a friend that drove, we kept all of our books in the cars because we had 3 buildings and you were walking back and forth from class. So you didn't want to be a nerd and carry all your books. So you would carry that book and whatever books you needed when you cross the other one, you put them in the guy's car and go to the next one. Well, so as a senior prank, why we were pranking the guy that let us use his car for a locker, it was just what you do when you're a teenager, being a jackass to the guy that's nice enough to give you a ride to school and let you keep your books in his car. But we took a bunch of Lucky 7 stink bait and we got like 3 or 4 popsicle sticks long. And we put that stink bait on the popsicle stick and jam it down into the air conditioning vents and then swipe it off. And we did it. I mean, we put that whole thing, that whole little bucket of that in every one of his vents. And on top of that, it was like the end of the school year, right? When you graduate, it was a hot day, like in May. And we took a bunch of rope and tied his car closed so he couldn't even get in it. So it just sat in there and baked all day. And I don't think to the day he sold that car, it was a Volkswagen Dasher station wagon. And I don't think to the day he sold that car, that stank ever came out of that. When you turn on the heater, it was 3 years later, you're probably smelling that dang Lucky 7.
Hey, somebody said bacon and Hellabass just came out of the woodwork. He was like, bacon.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that episode of it was Your Lake Fork Guide, Billy Lawson and Captain Ron? And they were always messing with each other. And they put that stink bait underneath the door handle.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a classic one.
So they did that at work.
Yeah.
But the guy they did it, one of the guys at work, he was whatever. But anyway, he had a weak stomach. He ended up puking all over the parking lot. I mean, he reached under, grabbed it, and he's like, what the? And as soon as he smelled it, I mean, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
God.
I'd almost rather have my fingers in dog crap than that stuff, man.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
That stink bait is just not right.
Yeah. Andy, just to answer your question, I'll let these guys tell you too. My personal preference is going to definitely be a War Eagle spinnerbait. As far as trailers, I kind of stay away from trailers in the pre-spawn. If I do put a trailer on, it's going to be a small, probably a small swim bait, or maybe even like a rage crawl. But that's about it. I keep it pretty simple without trailers most of the time, though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the War Eagle as well. Now Stanley
Stanley makes a nice spinnerbait too.
Make a good spinnerbait, man.
They're a lot like
Omega makes a really nice spinnerbait too.
Yeah, there's several good spinnerbaits out there, and I don't, when I'm fishing that dirty water, dirty cold water. If I'm doing the single Colorado blade, I'll put a big swim bait on there, just to give it a big profile. You get that big gizzard shad shape, and you can slow roll it a lot slower because that swim bait gives it some lifting, and it just allows you to keep it slow and in that fish's face. And then with the swim jigs, the Cumberland Pro, they've came out with it's a limit out compact swim jig that is really, really cool. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. They sell them on Tackle Warehouse. I think they're out of stock now. They've been getting them in stock and then they sell them out instantly. That is a great swim jig. It's just built well. You'll if you get on there and take a look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's unique. It just comes through cover really, really well. And I like, if I'm throwing that thing up shallow, if I'm throwing like a lot of times I'll throw that black and blue up shallow to potato bluegill. I'm throwing a rage crawl on there. I like something that's got a lot of lift, so you can, just like the spinnerbait, you can move it really, really slow. And Greg, he's a big Menace. He likes the Menace grub a lot.
Menace is a definite go-to.
That's a really good swim jig trailer.
The one thing I will say about with the War Eagles is they're good out of the package. Don't get me wrong. They're great. They work great. You'll catch fish on them. But until you catch about 3 or 4 fish on them is where they really, really shine. They'll get broke in. You'll get that wire get bent a little bit. Usually straight out of the package, I'll take my wires. I'll spread them back and forth a couple times just to get them broke in a little bit beforehand. But after that, they really get broke in. They really move a lot better. But like he was saying with those Stanleys, they got a lot smaller wire. They're pretty, I guess, flexible right out of the package. A little bit more.
And we got to address Ron's.
I know it. I've seen it, and
they're different, Ron.
They're
different. They, instead of being the wire tied, they're the compressed skirt that's pushed together. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
The one that falls off after 5 years, if yeah.
I don't like them as much.
No.
They have different action. The skirt looks a lot different. So now we're walking all over ourselves like we just answered.
Yeah.
The good news is I've got enough of the other ones. I'll probably be all right for a while.
The old War Eagle is a whole lot better than the new one, I think.
You know what? And for the price point, man, there's nothing wrong with the Strike King spinnerbaits either for the price point on those. I mean,
right.
No, and the one thing, just to add to what we were talking about with the War Eagles, something else that we noticed last year, we bought, I guess I did. I bought several of them down at, I bought some at Academy and I bought some at Walmart. I think Walmart had the newer brands that were from Bradco. And they were the heads where the wire goes down into the head was just watering out. So I did notice that.
It's when they made that deal, the wire
tie, get some ice cubes, fellas.
Wire tie is a lot more labor intensive. So to cut cost, obviously they're going to be doing that 2-piece skirt that I don't know what you call it, but it's a different skirt. Man, there's a lot of good spinnerbaits out there.
Yeah,
I fished a lot of good ones.
Yeah,
there really are. I even fish. People give Booyah a bad, a hard time on their spinnerbaits. I've caught a lot of fish on a Booyah spinnerbait too.
And even Cumberland Pro, they make some damn good spinnerbaits. I caught a 7-pounder on last year.
Mm-hmm.
The which one was that?
It's the one with the spoon on it, right?
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it. They don't make that anymore.
No,
they got rid of it. It was the Launch Master. Yeah, that was a good one. That had an actual spoon. It was a willow leaf spoon.
Yeah,
the thing was heavy. Like
it was a monster.
The blade was heavy. That thing.
But I tell you what, it gave off so much different of a flash in the water. I really liked it.
It had different vibration. It was unique. Hopefully they'll come back out with that sometime.
Yeah.
Spot sticker is a good spinnerbait.
Yeah. I've seen Shadow Bass in a while ago. He said masking my scent could be a challenge at times. Sorry for the back boater. We've all been there and done that.
Hella Bass is agreed on the Menace grub. Yeah, that's a good grub, man. That's a good bait. Fish
the Menace?
Ways. Yeah, the Menace. It's purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, the
nickels.
I like supporting the little guys though more than that, but there's nothing wrong with those. Strike King and all the big names, Bradco even. I mean,
yeah, I mean it's a pretty universal bait. I mean, it's not rocket science out there, but some small subtle changes make a big difference in some of them.
Yeah, and you can't change the skirt, David. You're right, but like Greg was saying, that wire was causing a little bit of issue. The wire and the lead was not sticking to the wire. I mean, I don't know if
it just watered out.
I heard that. I've heard that from several people. I don't know if they got that fixed. A lot of times they have a bad run, and they're doing probably thousands.
And there's a fine line there too between two limber. I remember there's a company years ago, and I don't even remember. It was a small, founded at a fishing show. They were using like small braided stainless cable. And then that was too.
Yep, I remember that.
Too limber. I bought a couple of them because like, man, that's a great idea. You're talking about one, but then it was too limber, and it didn't do well. If you wanted to burn it, it wanted to roll, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, there's a fine line there. I remember when you're talking about breaking in your spinner baits, Greg. I was thinking we used to tie our buzz baits to our antenna.
Yeah, so they break in and start whining on their own,
start squeaking and making all kinds of weird sounds. Yeah. And that's probably.
Did you ever take a razor blade into that metal, just cut into it a couple times,
put little grooves in it?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's probably all in our head, right? We think it's giving us advantage, so we're doing it. Yeah. So it's all about getting that buzz bait over the top of that 4-pounder's head. Versus, is in the right time of year, man. Like pre and post spawn with that buzz bait. Sometimes in the fall too, they can't take it, man. If you get it close to them, they can't take it. They're gonna get it.
It's a ferocious bite, that's for sure.
Just like that whopper plopper. Oh,
Tom Hellbass is getting big time, man. He's got all kinds of people talking about him, so that's cool. Phil was the one who was talking about the cable for the spinnerbait.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was another company out there that had a spinnerbait. God dang, they were a lot lighter wire too. I'm trying to think who the hell it was.
E-Factor? That was one that was around here locally, I think.
No, it's a bigger company. I'm trying to think of who the hell it was now.
Bascar 1960 says Billy Phillips is making a bait like that.
Yeah, I can't think what the hell it was now. Drawing a blank.
Yeah, I just like to when I buy a product, it's nice if you get everything. Like David was saying, changing the
buying it.
Out sometimes, but it's nice to have just something that's ready to go.
Well, you buy a Mega Bass, right? You don't have to change the hooks or the split rings or anything. It's ready to go.
Yeah. Just 25.
Anyway, with the Spro, I think the jerkbait category, once you get above $13, $14, most all of them are, for the most part, it's hard to beat Mega Bass for the quality of hooks.
No, Tom, what leverage? God dang, I can't think of the name of them.
Yeah, Stanley's good, David. That's one of my favorite. I always forget about Stanley, but man, I've caught a lot of fish on those Stanleys, especially those little. They have some smaller, like I guess the 1/4 ounce, and maybe even smaller than that. They're a really killer bait.
Yeah, they've been around forever. I remember on Roland Martin Outdoors, he was sponsored by Stanley for a long time.
Accent makes a good spinnerbait. They got that. I can't remember the name of it. It's their River Ledge spinnerbait. Got several of those in the box. Yeah, Chris, Mega Bass hooks are tacky. You can't sit them down. You can't even walk by close to anything. Reach out and grab them.
That's why I'm always amazed when a bass swipes at a Mega Bass and he doesn't get hooked. I'm like, how is that even possible? I can't tie this thing on without taking it out of my pants and the carpet.
They're a little bit. You got to be careful with them. You can break them off. You can snap them off if you're really ripping the hook out of the fish's mouth on those Mega Bass hooks.
Oh yeah, it's all about being patient in the right rod to fight those fish on the jerk.
Picasso spinnerbaits.
Yeah.
There's a wire.
Hey, there you go. Yeah.
Picasso makes a good jig too.
Yeah. No, why I couldn't think of that. It was racking my brain here.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, Jay lost sound, I guess. It's probably from all those long boat rides.
Yeah. That's
what fan in front of his face, blowing his beard back, muffling all the sound.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah, we should be. honestly, I did it for a while and I kind of got away from it. But I used to wear earplugs all the time when I was making a long run, or at least the first run in the morning if you're going far.
Yeah. A lot of those guys have been doing it for a long time. They'll tell you, man, ear protection is the deal. And it is.
Yeah.
Makes a big, that's what I was talking a while ago about wearing that helmet. It does the same thing. But
Yeah.
you pull up somewhere and go to fish and you take that thing off and it's like you just enhance the sound of everything around you. You know.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question. Throw that one up for the Chris Gates right there. We kind of got into that at the beginning of the show there. So he says, I'm fishing the Table Rock BFL as a co. Planning on having a wart set up. Might be a little early, but do you all have any recommendations on Table Rock? It will be my first time on it. We were just talking about last year. We fished the first BFL on Table Rock, and it was really an A-rig deal. A lot of people were catching fish on an A-rig. So you're most likely going to be fishing out around standing timber, probably main lake points, and maybe just a little bit back at some of those channel swing secondaries and stuff. And the other pattern that was going on, of course, a jerk bait might play, and then a little swim bait. I only caught one. I only weighed in one fish. I think it was like a 3-pound spot or something, but I caught it on an underspin, and I was just throwing a little dipper by Reaction Innovation. So basically like a 3.3 Kitech, something like that, and some kind of shad, translucent. The water's really clear there, so you gotta kind of think
Natural.
Natural, just a natural looking swim bait, whatever brand you want.
That being said, I would not take my wiggle warts.
Yeah, gotta take your wiggle wart down there for sure. You never know.
Get with a guy that's up shallow enough for you to get it up and grind it into the bottom.
Yeah, because you don't know what your boater's going to do.
It's not a bad strategy. If you can reach that depth range, then he's doing something else. I wouldn't hesitate to throw that wiggle wart if you can get it to the bottom for sure.
Yeah, you might draw a guy that runs down to Ants Creek or Kimberlin City and just fishes main lake stuff. And then, or you might have a guy that runs all the way up, Long Creek or something. Yeah, you never know. And then you're in dirtier water and you're fishing a lot shallower. But
there's never a bad time to throw a wiggle wart, in my opinion. I mean,
no, it's a reaction bait. I mean,
once you get that thing on the bottom, you can crank it slow enough that it's not moving that fast anyway. You can. Yeah,
Chris, take those underspins.
But the underspin, the jerk bait, Alabama rig, small swim bait. Yeah, that's and a jig. I'll have a small jig tied on and a football jig too.
Probably some finesse type football jig. I think that's really about all you need. Now if you draw some guys, like you mentioned, Mike Webb, I know he fishes out deep a lot. He's going to probably doing a jig and spoon and that jig and wrap, the Rapala jig and wrap, possibly I don't know.
Here's a coat. You might want to take some spoons or something along with
you. Yeah, something you can drop on them. I'm kind of just, as I'm saying this, I'm kind of going through my tackle box and what I'm going to be taking in my head. But I'm definitely going to be looking at some jigging spoon, probably a Demiki rig, the ice wrap, and maybe some drop shot stuff. That's, if you can't catch them on that dropping, you're not going to catch them, I don't think. Just kind of got to be prepared for a couple different things.
Yeah, it's tough as a co-angler sometimes.
I got 3 of those, Jay. I left my original Yolotech hat is in Jay's truck. And I realized that after he got on the road, he actually texted me and said, "Hey, I got this really cool looking hat in my truck." And so luckily I bought Yolotech had a sell on these, and I bought a couple of them. So I had to break out my stockpile and get a fresh one. I was due for a fresh one though. That other one had some mileage on it.
I've got so many hats. Oh, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, Chris, if you don't have confidence in spoons, I wouldn't even
throw what you got confidence in, brother.
Yeah, don't fish something in the tournament you don't have confidence in.
When I fished with Denny Brower in that Elite Series one time, there was guys catching him on a spoon, and he threw it once, got it hung up, broke it off, tied another one on, got it a few minutes later, got it hung up and broke off. He's like, "All right, I'm done with this. This isn't what I do." And he picked up a tube and started flipping grass. It's like,
yeah, Chris, the Dirks, We're supposed to be. I got in touch with Lawson Hibden, and he's going to come on the live stream sometime in the next couple weeks. Him and his dad are down there in Florida getting ready for the Okeechobee tournament. They're fishing the pro circuit, the MLF, FLW, Big Five, whatever you call it. They're doing that this year. So him and Dion are down there. So we were talking about doing it. Huh?
Sanders?
Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
Oh, Deion Sanders. Yeah. They're down there fishing in Okeechobee, and he was going to do it on the way home next Monday, but I thought, well, let's do it let's see if you can wait to get home.
That's a guy that's got 3 times his age worth of fishing knowledge just from who his dad and his grandpa were.
Right. And he mentioned that Dirk's jig. That's something that they make and sell. A weird looking jig. You ever seen that thing, Mike? Just got a few strands of skirt material on it. Apparently it's the deal.
Yep. It is the deal.
Yep. Chris, dog talk will mess you up. That's for sure.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's why I camped a lot of times. Just stay away from all that.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from all that. It's you got to do your thing, not somebody else's thing.
You can't catch somebody else's fish.
No.
I mean, the best thing somebody can give you as far as dog talk, just give you well, first of all, you got to trust the guy. You got to know the guy, because some people just say stuff to send you in the wrong direction. But the best thing that somebody can tell you is just, where are they at?
Yeah.
Not a
Yep.
spot, but
break down an arm for you.
yeah. Are they
The first third, second third, all the way in the back.
Yeah, or it's
like
chunk rock on a 45 degrees, whatever it is.
Yeah, and then you just go find it, man.
Yeah.
That's probably the best advice you can get.
Yeah.
Not that they're, biting on a wiggle wart and such arm on this bank. And because
They could tell you that at Lake of the Ozarks, but if you're in a different 10-mile stretch than that guy, then that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
Yeah.
He could be telling you the truth, but if you aren't fishing the same type of stuff.
And everybody fishes stuff different. Everybody
Yeah,
fishes the same bait differently.
I've had that before where guys I trust did tell me they were back in the back catching them on a wiggle wart, where it kind of flattens off and it's like 8-9 foot deep. And that's where I went, and I didn't throw a wiggle wart. I threw a football jig and just kind of run it through the bottom the same, it's just something a little different. If they're biting something on the bottom, I feel like, well, if I can get a jig down there doing the same thing as a wiggle wart, and it's not doing the same thing, but if they're in that, I guarantee you, if the wiggle, I mean, they're not going to not bite it because, well, wait a second, we're eating wiggle warts. We're not eating jigs that go by us. I mean, I don't think that's the case. It's more like Greg was saying, the area, the type of area, whether it's, the backs and the flat or 45-degree chunk rock or transition between chunk and pea gravel or, that sort of thing versus then you take that information and catch them how you feel comfortable trying to catch them.
Yep.
Yeah. Jay said the rock crawler versus not versus the wiggle wart, but it's definitely something.
Yeah, it's definitely an option.
Gets a little bit deeper. I've got a lot of confidence in that bait the last couple of years. I've been throwing it.
Rios makes one that's a pretty good bait too. That's in that same vein.
Yeah, 6 Sense has one. Striking like this series. What is it? The Series 4 has a similar action, I believe. I think that's what Menendez was saying when we had him on her. That's a guy that he knows a lot about cold water cranking.
He knows a lot about everything.
A lot about everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Jay says a new hot color is Stone Cold. Limited color, yeah. They're probably $15 a piece now.
Oh, yeah.
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold.
Is that the rock crawler color?
I don't know if that's a rock crawler or if it's that Dirk's jig. Might be the rock crawler. I don't know. I always throw that spring crawl or I don't know. There's several rock colors that are pretty cool, but they're mostly the orangish kind of crawl.
I think it's as much the action as it is the color on those.
Stick it in their face, man. They're gonna grab it. They don't have a choice. That thing's got such crazy action.
You stick it in front of her face, she'll open her mouth.
Suck it in.
Yeah, that's it's one of my favorite ways to catch them is when you can start. I mean, other than a jig, when you can start catching them on a rock crawler or wiggle wart or anything. anything you're grinding into the bottom, square bill, whatever. But it's so fun to when you can narrow it down to they're in 8 and 9 feet of water, and you can just get on that contour and kind of do a 10-degree cast where you're keeping it in that water and grind it into those rocks at Table Rock or Lake of the Ozarks. And
that's a great point, Chris. He says, I agree, Mike, it's more important to find the fish than they will eat multiple things. A lot of guys put too much stock in the bait. Yeah, you got to find the fish, man. That's the hardest.
Yeah, that's
the hardest thing about fishing, man. I mean, the more as you do it longer, you start to know. It's finding the fish is the most difficult thing.
That's 70% of the problem right there is finding them.
Yeah,
the other 30% is just figuring out what they'll eat.
It's finding the fish is that's the deal. That's the mental side of it.
Yeah,
what's up, Holly D?
You're best off to catch them how you feel comfortable. I mean, just use your head, whatever.
Just making sure you're paying attention, Rich.
Yeah.
So it gets later in the show. We kind of started getting loose.
Yeah, I don't even think Mike caught it.
What did he say?
Here.
Oh.
Not always. Everyday talk.
Yeah.
So, well, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Been on for about 2.5 or 2:10. Yeah.
Man, we're
I got to drive home.
50 minutes short of a Joe Rogan podcast.
I know, man. It's hard to, I watched your Lake Fork guide last night, and Billy Austin, he did like a 3 hour and 20 minute. I ended up getting sucked into watching about an hour and a half. He was drinking some whiskey.
I think if we started earlier, we'd be fine.
Let's get close to bedtime.
Yeah. You know what? That Hillbillies at the Square Table we did at Greg's was really fun. We definitely got to do that again.
We do that again. Yeah,
during the toy series down there.
Yeah, if we can get a couple people over there.
And, it won't be hard. We'll get Matt Masters over there. Matt's got stories for days.
Well, we can put 10 people on here. The thing is, we've got to make sure everybody's got headphones or earphones or something. Earphones. I don't have earphones anymore.
Yeah, Jay, that's funny. I forgot about that, man. So Jay's got 360 and he's got a live scope on his boat. And I was fishing with Jay over at Lake of Egypt the other day, and he was dropping a shaky head on fish with 8-pound test, and they were swimming away from it. They were spooking them. And we're in like 18 foot of water, 20 foot of water, 22 foot of water. I can't remember how deep, but that's how negative those fish. And that happened like a couple times. He dropped that, and I caught some fish a couple of weeks ago doing that, and they had no problem. They didn't swim off. They would grab that shaky head. I mean, of course, I don't have live scope, but I have the 2D, and I could see them down there, and I'd drop off, and I'd kind of ease back, and I'd get a bite. Well, the other day they were swimming away from it. So that just shows you that it shows you how negative fish can get. Either they're conditioned to seeing the shaky head, or they were just in such a bad mood they were just bailing out, or B, they were picking up on the live scope, the transducer pings. And also, just because you have live scope and 360 doesn't mean that you're going to catch the fish. I mean, we've talked about that 100 times. But that was like, okay, they're right where they're supposed to be. I'm throwing a nice finessey, shaky head bite, bait, something that they should bite. You drop it down there and they swim off. And that happened I know it happened 2 times, probably 3 times.
Those fish were probably like, these guys are sissies. We're going where there's some men throwing 1/2-inch jigs with big trailers.
Exactly, Mike. Exactly.
Huddlestons.
Yeah. I don't know about that. But,
no.
But it's crazy, man. You're absolutely right, Jay, how finicky sometimes it can be, And before all that, we just thought we weren't around them. It's kind of even more frustrating when you're around them and can't get them to bite.
Yeah, I know, man.
But you know what? Come back in one of those windows that we were talking about, maybe those fish bite.
I think you're right. That's a good point, because we were in that dead period.
Oh, there it is. COVID pressure.
You can blame everything on COVID pressure. Yeah, hit that
thumbs
up, guys.
There was more than 7 people in the cove. In the COVID, you can't have more than 7 people in the cove. It's just a good science.
Hey, we were wearing masks though, because it was like 38 degrees, raining and windy. We were completely covered. So no doubt about that.
We had to go to the bank the other day to sign some paperwork, and it's just so weird going into the bank. First of all, it was locked, and they had to call and let us in, and then we walk into the bank with our mask on to go sign some papers. It's like It's just weird, right? You're in the bank with they're asking you to put a mask on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Hey, Phil, when I hear back from that guy about those jig heads, I'll let you know. Or I found a line on some stupid head or stupid tube jig heads. It's a good bait, though. So, all right, man, we're gonna wrap this up.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna get off here. Mike, man, it's been good to talk
Yeah.
with you.
Dude, we're not too far from kicking this party off.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited, man. I'm ready to get down there and fish some new water.
Yep. And
Yeah.
we're gonna
We're gonna have a time.
We're gonna have a time, and I'm very excited about the Toyota series and nervous at the same time. It's like, that's the first time I've really stepped up and fished on the boater side of something at that level. So I'm pretty excited and nervous at the same time. Like, I don't want to fall on my face.
Yeah,
but
right.
It can happen. But I'm always confident in myself. In a 3-day format, I'll figure something out. So,
yeah, and it's, bottom line is, it doesn't matter if it's a Wednesday nighter or if it's the Bassmaster Classic. You still got to catch the same fish.
You still got to catch them.
It don't matter who's in the tournament. If you don't catch them, or if you do, you're gonna be right where you need to be.
The beautiful man in the Camus is still going to be lurking down there. So you just got to go down there and make sure you beat that guy.
Yep.
You're going to have to catch him to win that, to do well in that tournament. I'm just hoping I can be now. I think I haven't even done these enough. Gabe, do you fish all 3 days regardless?
It's two. It's two, and then the top 10 fish the third day.
It's the top 10.
Yeah, I think so. 10 or 12.
That's my goal. I want to make that. I want to catch a check. But man, I really want to be in that top 10.
Yeah, so, David, if there's a jig bite, Mike's going to be just fine.
Yeah. I will be fine if I can get away from the Alabama rig guys, but I'm gonna give that its fair shake too. I feel like I feel like Austin proved that to me last year at the BFL.
You got to throw it,
in
man.
the same boat. Yeah, you got to. So,
all right, man.
All right,
don't forget to watch that video. You'll learn how to punch.
Okay.
See you, Mike.
All right, guys.
See you, man.
See you guys later then.
All right, man. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, guys. And we will see you next week. I don't know who we're gonna have on here next week, but
yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. So,
all right.
See you, man. See you.
Adios.